Now, I know what you're saying. You're thinking to yourself, Josh, it's 7:16. Well, I have a good excuse. All right, dinner. We did not get dinner started until later than we usually do. Also, there was car stuff earlier in the day, so I didn't have enough time to prep, but I prepped just enough. The show's gonna be fine. We'll be fine. It's all gonna be fine. What am I looking? What is happening? Also, my computer's acting really weird today. Okay, you guys heard that, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Just making sure. Anyway. Let's intro the show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening whenever you are watching this. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. On here, we talk news, politics, and current events. It is currently December 20th, 2022. We got about 5 days till Christmas, and are there 31 days in December? There are, and what is that, 11 days? 12 days, I guess? 12 days until 2023. But nonetheless, we are here. We are doing our thing. How is everyone doing? I'm doing great. Also, and you know, I like being honest here. Also, had to finish up the third episode of Singles Inferno Season 2. I'm sorry. You can judge me for that all you want. I can understand that. But, you know, I grew up watching Flavor of Love and other dating shows. There's a certain affinity I have for those shows. I'm sorry. I know. But it's really good. I'd recommend it. Anyway, so on the docket today, we have a few things. First, gonna go over kind of the $1.7 trillion spending bill. Gonna go over that and kind of what all apparently made it in and is not going to be making it in to the bill. And after that, we're just gonna swing right over to the AmeriFest. Or America Fest, whatever the fuck they're calling it. And then we're going to take a look at, I guess Tim Pool showed up. We'll kind of do that as a warm-up. And then we got the big kahuna himself, Tucker Carlson. I'm interested to see what kind of rhetoric he's going to be pushing. And then we answer the question. The question on everybody's mind of, is right-wing comedy funny? We'll find out. So, and we got a couple more things. So let's not dilly-dally. We're already late. Let's get to running, shall we? All right. So Congress is poised to pass its $1.7 trillion spending bill for the next year in the Senate. So this is a bill that Chuck Schumer is going to be pushing for and going to need the support of 10 Republicans in the Senate. So let's take a look at what is in and what is out of the spending bill. The year-end spending package that Congress is rushing to pass this week does more than fund the government through September. It's also chock full of policy provisions that affect everything from the lobster industry to TikTok to professional sports. The $1.7 trillion government funding measure is the last major must-pass bill on the legislative docket before the start of the 118th Congress in January, when divided government in a looming 2024 presidential election will make legislating even harder than it currently is. That makes the spending bill a magnet for members trying to cram in their priorities just before the holidays. So, must-pass bills. I am sure you've heard of these. Usually, I believe there's always the defense authorization bill that always has to get passed, which is basically just figuring out what the military budget's going to be this year. Fun. If you can guess, every year it's always a good bit more. So there's that, and then we got this one, which is just the general budget for the government for the next fiscal year, basically. There will be no shortage of political angst before the gargantuan bill and its many policy adornments reach President Biden's desk, with federal cash set to expire at midnight on Friday. The Senate is expected to act first on the measure, starting with a procedural vote as soon as Tuesday afternoon. Lawmakers in the upper chamber must also reach a critical time agreement to vote on the bill this week. Before that, any senator can hold up the agreement in exchange for concessions or votes on amendments. All right, what's in? What's in this year? All right. Ukraine aid. Congressional leaders want to give the country about $45 billion to help fend off Russian attacks, exceeding Biden's request for $37 billion. So let's kind of do this point by point. So Biden wanted 37. Congress ended up giving the military, more specifically Ukraine, $45 billion. Now, there are two comments I want to make on this. One, I am in full support of us sending weapons, arms, munitions, whatever you want to call it, to Ukraine so that they can defend themselves from a invading force in Russia. Totally okay with that. My second comment is, notice how whenever progressives, leftists, honestly, even right-wingers, whenever they find something to positively argue for, what is always the excuse when it comes to funding infrastructure, or really funding anything that isn't military or defense spending? It's always, we don't have the money. It's always, we don't have this, we don't have that, whatever. Notice how often our taxpayer dollars just go to funding the war effort, either abroad for us or for our allies. Now, in certain circumstances, I don't really have a problem with this. When it comes to Ukrainian aid, no issues whatsoever. But we were in Iraq for 20 years. We were in Afghanistan, we weren't in Iraq for 20 years. I'm sorry. We were in Afghanistan for 20 years. We were in Iraq for an extended period of time. So when we talk about useless spending that could have gone to regular Americans, so their healthcare needs, or to just upkeep on the country's infrastructure, that's when suddenly people, start to kind of bristle at the idea of spending this kind of money, which shouldn't be a surprise to you. A lot of our elected representatives, unfortunately, end up going and working in the defense industry after their time in Congress. So this shouldn't be too much of a surprise, but it's always good to keep that in mind. TikTok ban. Legislation pushed by Senator Josh Hawley that would bar the download of the popular app on government devices made it into the final bill. The measure originally passed the Senate unanimously last week and comes as many states have enacted similar TikTok bans on government devices, heating broad bipartisan concerns about the Chinese-owned app and its reach in the U.S. In terms of the TikTok app, so this is only going to be affecting obviously government workers, government officials, government employees. So overall, I'd say I don't really have that much to say about this, honestly. It's fine. That's fine. I think that's perfectly reasonable, considering the way that app developers have to agree to the kind of terms that they have to agree with to function and be allowed, basically, on the market in China. Those agreements I'm not a fan of those agreements. So no problem there for the most part. This is also not going to affect normal people's ability to use TikTok, which I do think is a different conversation. I don't really know if there's a meaningful distinction in terms of, as an American, one might say, oh, as an American, do I have a hello? I see Miso has joined us. One might say oh, well, Americans should not be spied on by the Chinese government, or that Americans do not have Americans have the right to not be spied on by the Chinese government, which I would agree with. Unfortunately, the caveat to that is that Americans somehow also have the right to be spied on by their own government. So none of these are real. There's no real good answer here besides just overall banning any of these apps spying on people. Hello. Okay, he's gonna wait at that door for a bit. Earlier end to COVID rules. The bill includes a bipartisan deal to end the COVID era Medicaid policy that gave states more funding and barred them from kicking people off federally funded insurance, setting a new date of April 1st, 2023 instead of July. Okay. Bipartisan deal to end the COVID era Medicaid. Uh, so that's, I mean, why you would shorten that time, I don't know why. I think people, if they want to get the vaccine and are on Medicaid, should be allowed to do so. And, you know, the restricting of the vaccine or any of that stuff for political purposes um, is that whole thing about government getting in between you and your doctor. That's just that, in my opinion. Telehealth extension. Tucked in the bill is an extension on the HHS rules that made telehealth more accessible during the pandemic. But the provision, which extends the flexibility through the end of 2024, falls far short of a push from some lawmakers who wanted to make that flexibility permanent. Naturally. Okay, it's good that they're extending it. They really just should make it permanent. Preventing another January 6th. Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer noted earlier this month that the funding bill will include a bipartisan deal to revamp the century-old Electoral Count Act, which governs congressional certification of presidential ballots. After former Donald Trump tested its limits on January 6th of 2021. It's fine. I mean, if you actually want to do voting reform in this country, you would get rid of the Electoral College, and also you'd repeal the filibuster. But I guess those things aren't on the agenda. Lobster Lifeline. Maine lawmakers successfully included a pause on new regulations that warned would cripple their state's lobster industry. The provision delays new rules by 6 years, which critics argue will allow fisheries to put off actions that will prevent fishing gear from harming and even killing endangered whales. This is a good example of like capital getting in the way of environmental good, and environmental good that can actually affect everybody. Why, hello, Akira Yellow. Welcome aboard. The provisions, yeah. So not particularly a fan of that. I feel like when it comes to stuff like this, there's like at the end of the day, like you need whales in the ocean for the ecosystem. Like doing well. Like you know, not that I don't care about Maine's lobster market, but like they're more important. The entire ocean's ecosystem is a little bit more important. Tax items on the table included in a bigger spending bill is a measure aimed at curbing fraudulent tax breaks reaped from land conservation deals and legislation to boost retirement savings in tax advantaged accounts. The additions to both provisions follow uncertainty over whether there would be any tax title in the government funding bill at all. Okay, that seems fine. Measured aimed at curbing fraudulent. Yeah, that's good. I like the curbing of fraudulent tax breaks. I am a fan of that. What is... My cat's losing it because he doesn't like being locked in here away from his mother. An FBI compromise. Really, guys? A contentious dispute between Maryland and Virginia Democrats, guys, about the future location of the FBI headquarters delayed the release of the omnibus text on Monday night. Lawmakers ultimately settled on a compromise, directing the federal government to meet with representatives from both states to hear their ideas about making a final decision about where to put the building. This is stupid. This did not need to be in here. Security boost for former speakers. Language of the bill directs the Capitol Police to determine whether to extend protective. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's not super shocking. After the Pelosi attack and kind of in Jan 6, that makes sense. Residential security program for senators. The bill will include $2.5 million in funding for a residential security system program for senators. That funding comes... Again, I would probably say I'm mostly in favor of this. I can't help but like while I'm in favor of this, I also can't help but like be kind of grossed out that like this is just a $2.5 million security gift to people who already self-deal in the stock market with non-public information. Like, they can buy their own fucking security systems. Most of our representatives are incredibly rich, and more importantly, has no real connection to normal Americans. Let's see. Makeup regulatory revamp. Okay. Lawmakers included the first overhaul of how cosmetics are regulated in the U.S. since the 1930s, giving the FDA greater authority to ensure that myriad lotions and makeup products are safe for use. This is really good. I remember I watched a documentary I watched a documentary on kind of the makeup industry's like super shadiness. It's like kind of fucking crazy the lengths. Like if it like in I think it's, I don't want to say specific countries because I don't remember. It's been a couple years, but like some of the manufacturing like facilities for some of the cosmetics that you get are from super shady, like clearly just like slave labor like working conditions. Like it is fucking dystopic. Let's see. Let's see. Allowing military students to play ball. I don't. Okay. Spending package undoes a provision recently tucked into annual defense policy legislation that requires student athletes from military service academics to perform 2 years of active duty service before they can get a waiver to play professional sports. The spending bill allows student athletes to seek a waiver and defer that service. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see. Boost for the NLRB. Lawmakers increased the budget for the National Labor Relations Board by $25 million for the first time in nearly a decade. Jesus Christ. Fucking really? A top priority for unions amid a surge of union organizing across the country. Its funding now exceeds $299 million. Honestly, if you want to talk about a program that actually returns favorable outcomes to workers and to a majority of Americans, you're talking about the NLRB. That's what should be getting more of the funding, not like the military industrial complex. Like that's where I'd really rather see some of that money get spent. Speaking of fisheries and conservatives, there is a fish here. People overfish, and they are called crappie. You can get 30 a day per person. Jesus. Criminy, that's a lot of fish. That's a lot of fucking fish. Like 30 a day. Popular tax provisions toss. An extension of the enhanced child tax credit pushed by Democrats and the provision allowing businesses to immediately write off their research expenses rather than over a period of 5 years didn't make the final cut. Lovely. I don't know why the fuck. And provisions allowing... I don't care about businesses and their research. I care about child tax credit. That if anything, that should have stuck around. Let's see. Pandemic aid. Biden had wanted $9 billion to help combat the COVID pandemic and address emerging needs, but Republicans never wanted to provide any extra cash. No shit. Cannabis banking legislation, the so-called Safe Banking Act, which would give the cannabis industry increased access to financial services, remains in the cutting room floor amid opposition from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Oh my fucking God. OAMA is axed. McConnell also objected to the inclusion of the Open App Markets Act, legislation aimed at promoting competition and reducing costs for consumers in the app market. Whoa! A fucking conservative, a fucking Republican who constantly talks about the free market, not or objecting to more to the promotion of better what's the word, competition. Fucking color me shocked. Drug sentencing deal, a bipartisan agreement to narrow the sentencing disparities between crack and powder cocaine. Seriously, are we still doing this? Oh my God. I don't even need to read the rest of this. It's fucking stupid. Helping pregnant workers. Wow. It's almost like, let's see, who opposed it? Legislation that would expand protections for pregnant workers called the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. So, how much? No. I'm just going to take a shot in the dark here and say that Republicans were not in favor of the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, to which, let's all just remember, when they say pro-life, they don't fucking care about women. Let's just be clear. Like when it comes down to it, when it's time to fucking vote, this is what the stuff that they oppose. Got left out of the bill after being stalled in the Senate for months despite support from groups in the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, ACLU, and Conference of Catholic Bishops. Energy permitting reforms. Senator Joe Manchin's hope to expedite energy projects through a permitting policy overhaul didn't make it into the annual, and it's officially out of the spending bill too. That is good, mainly because that was mostly just literally Joe Manchin putting in a bill that would line his pockets. Like that one was really actually pretty. I feel like that was like one of those where it's like, yeah, this is obviously self-dealing. We don't need to have a conversation about that. Joe Manchin is probably one of, if not the most corrupt politician we have in the Senate. And I don't really mean that from like a numbers base. I really mean it from like a ideological stance in terms of like Mitch McConnell pushes for conservative values. Mitch McConnell, as much as I don't like the guy, does a lot of good for the Republican Party writ large. Joe Manchin doesn't do fucking anything that does not line the pockets and does not help Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin is here to represent Joe Manchin. That's it. At the very least, McConnell puts forward conservative judges and at least forwards some of the right's goals and aspirations. So, you know, I guess, you know, give the devil a bit of credit, I suppose. But anyway, so speaking of giving some credit, we're not going to do any of that because the next person we're going to look at is let's all, you know, maybe I don't think I own an American flag. Damn. I was going to say let's drape ourselves in an American flag and have some fun, but I don't think I own any flags. Either way, that's okay. Let's head in to the America Fest 2022. So, Tim Pool, I guess, also showed up at America Fest, and hilariously, it seems like I've only seen the first like couple seconds of this. Hilariously, it seems like he brought his table and his like mic arm and his really shady friend, which is just the most I've never touched grass activity I might have ever seen from like a content creator. Like, my dude, there's not touching grass, and then there's I don't know if you've ever seen grass before. Yes. Oh. Yes. Would you like to say hello? Hello. Oh. Ugh. Hello. Are you enjoying your time in here? See if I can. Oh, God, dude, you're getting heavy. A heavy boy. This is Miso. You might have seen him in the background before. He is a chonky boy. He is also kind of a pain in the ass because he gets into stuff a lot. Okay, you want that. Go ahead. Ow, ow. Use your claws less. Sheesh. Anyway, America Fest. Let's get to listening.
Challenges for us, we're anti-woke.
Also, I just want to apologize ahead of time. I don't know what's going on with their audio here in Arizona, but like really weird audio that they chose for all this.
You know, we say, hey, don't divide people based on race or these immutable characteristics. The challenge is.
Oh yes, apparently the video is called Tim Pool on to fight the woke mob. Okay, I don't see any. Is he gonna fight people? Probably
the challenge
not.
is for us,
right?
We're
Probably
anti-woke.
Not.
You know, we say, hey, don't divide people based on race.
You're a reactionary then. That would be the definition of a reactionary.
Their character, their merit, etc. But now the battle is that's the division, Luke. It's the people who want to divide versus the people who don't want to divide, creating this weird division.
And they brand themselves as unity. Would that just be perfect, right?
Well, so a question for you, James.
Sure.
I guess, if this is their sword and their shield, does it end by just collapsing in front of them, or does it? What does it become? Is there a way?
What is this audio? What is this weird audio? You guys have a lot of money. Okay, we're gonna crank this up. I'm not sure what's going on with their audio.
Successfully wields this.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, I think wokeness is actually now turning to their disadvantage.
Oh, okay, we're doing the woke thing. Right.
People are getting upset. I told some of my friends.
Really? It's been exposed. People are getting upset. Now, call me crazy, but it kind of seems like you're getting upset a bit, which I always find funny. Conservatives consistently try to paint leftism and really any kind of broad liberal or progressive values as somehow pushing against the normative values and normative stances of most people. And, you know, they'll always do this vague, like, you know, people are getting upset. Yeah, dude, you're upset. Like, you're kind of racist, or you're kind of bigoted, or you're kind of a misogynist, or whatever your flavor of conservative is. And, like, unlike conservatives, leftists, probably to a bit of a fault, don't really give you a pass on that stuff. If you've spent any time in left circles, you know that if there's one thing we can never do is let people just be wrong about something and live with it. You've got to at least know why the fuck you're wrong about some shit. Especially if it's something, again, that's bigoted, something that affects people on a broad systemic, in a broad systemic way.
Colleagues back in 2019 that if they ever went full into the queer theory, so unleash the drag queens, that they had shot themselves in the head, and it's only a matter of time until the thing falls over. People aren't going to put up with that for very long. They're going to, and it doesn't mean that you have to go do something and you know, something crazy. That's not what I mean by saying that people aren't going to put up with it. They're going to see through that. This is fake. This is fake. So then what happens? We start to have these.
Wait, what's fake? Are people not actually? I'm like super confused now. Are people not actually like doing drag shows? Is that not what's happening? I'm sorry. Can you make sense for a second?
People aren't going to put up with that for very long. They're going to, and it doesn't mean that you have to go do something and you know, something crazy. That's not what I mean by saying that people aren't going to put up with it. They're going to see through that. This is fake. This is fake.
Okay.
Fake. So then what happens? We start to have these media wars. They start banning people off. Everything that they're doing is actually.
Whoa. First of all, leftists do not own Twitter. So don't even do the like, oh, they start banning people. We don't own Twitter. That is you. There are people being banned off Twitter. It is owned by a right-wing influencer figure, whatever the fuck you want to call Elon at this point. But that ain't the left. Elon ain't nobody's leftist.
Just kind of this accumulation of weight that's causing that thing to fall down. So they have the sword and the shield, but it's getting dull. The shield is getting soft, and eventually
that is true. We do need to sharpen our blades. That is true.
Steve's always pointing to you and saying that you're the solution, that you're the answer, that you are. What's your
why? Okay, I like Steve Bannon just like awkwardly sitting behind his mic with his evil like Steve, I really appreciate you just like owning the like evil boss character. You know, I like you putting on that who's the fucking bad guy in Pokemon? Fuck, Giovanni, is that his name? Yeah, I love Steve Bannon over here, like just channeling his Giovanni energy.
Word for it, Steve. You always call him the I thought Praetorian Guard.
Great White Hope. Oh, sorry.
The force multiplier.
The force multiplier. Yeah.
No, it's look.
Okay, let's be clear. Force multiplier is a term usually. The term force multiplier generally is used to describe the element of firearms in any conflict. So if you have like, if two people are like arguing, disagreeing, whatever it is, and one person has a gun and the other person, well, it doesn't really matter. Anybody who owns a gun now has what's generally like termed as a force multiplier. So as usual, gotta stick with the gun talk, I guess.
Their biggest fear right now is that you come to conferences like this, you get smarter, and not just that, it's applied knowledge. The reason they're trying to take out everybody and deplatform everybody and stop it all and go after Tucker and go after everybody is because they fear you.
That's right.
I'm sorry, is critiquing you on Twitter the same as violent armed militias? Are you taking the boy? Yes. He's very distraught. That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, like conservatives and Steve Bannon especially. Let's remember, Steve Bannon is a propagandist. His job is to, and again, this goes into kind of the terminology he uses, where he'll say things like take people out. And what that's supposed to conjure in the very smooth, very small brain of a conservative is, oh, they're gonna take me out, like they're gonna take me around back and put a bullet in the back of my head. Oh no. That's like the thing that's supposed to conjure it up. But again, you need plausible deniability. So the next sentence he mentions, you know, that's why they're banning people or kicking people off this or that. And then they go after Tucker, to which, who's going after Tucker? Tucker Carlson is on the largest media platform in the country. He has the largest platform. Like he is the largest figure who's going to show up at this conference. And Fox News is not beholden to the left. So I don't know what this This whole, like, going after Tucker. None of that is realistic. No, you can critique Tucker Carlson, and at the end of the day, that's what they're talking about. They're whining about being critiqued and being called out for not just their hypocrisy, but their bigotry and the rest of their dumbass opinions. But they're complaining about that and trying to frame it in a violent manner, even though, like, let me ask you, do you think leftists show up with guns anywhere? Honestly, what is the stereotype of a leftist? Hell, even especially a liberal. Weak, non-argumentative. Maybe argumentative is like the most aggressive trait. I'll give them argumentative, but like violent. What violence? Most liberals are terrified of guns. Most leftists are uncomfortable around guns. Meanwhile, Steve Bannon and a bunch of other guys just like him, who are no different than neo-Confederates, it's essentially what they are, what do? They show up to drag shows, they show up to public events, they show up armed. That's what they do. They show up armed. And then they gaslight their audience into believing that, hey, we're the peaceful ones. We're just here to do, we're just here to protest or whatever. It's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. It's fiction, what it is actually.
They understand they haven't had a true populist uprising in this country in its history, right? Not a true populist uprising. The only way to defeat it is a populist uprising, and that is you.
So one of the ways I think that it's going to be exploited.
I don't understand what this format is. You guys have a stage. Why are you sitting at a fucking, like, podcast desk? What is this?
Is economic Marxists on the left, when they start to realize the people they were indoctrinating.
I thought we were social Marxists. What am I? Am I an economic Marxist or am I a social Marxist? I guess I'm probably just a Marxist in their mind.
The hate are actually running the political party that they're affiliated with. When that is exploited, all of a sudden there will be a massive schism on the American left. Wokeism and people that are legitimate Bolsheviks that believe in the economics of Marxism but are not as enthused on the race Marxist stuff.
The race Marxist stuff? Now, look, I'll admit, I am no Marxist scholar. Nobody's scholar here. All right, I've had like normal jobs for the last like 10 years or whatever it is, 10, probably more like 15 years or whatever it is. So I'm nobody's scholar here, but Marx race stuff, I don't hear a whole lot of Marx's racial critiques. It honestly wouldn't shock me if Marx was a bit racist, to be honest. What Marx mostly was concerned with was the right of workers and the relationship to their work, to the product that they create. That's what Marx was interested in. So any of the rest of the stuff, they just say Marxist because honestly, because boomers are scared of the word Marxist. That's literally the only reason. I'm pretty sure when he said Marxist, I'm pretty sure Steve Bannon like flinched for a second. Just making sure, oh shit, fuck. Like
that is going to be a schism because the vast majority of Americans see that it's harder than ever to buy a home, that consumer debt.
Really, it's harder than ever to buy a home under our Marxist. Ooh, no, wait. Do we have a Marxist system here? We have a capitalist one, and it's still incredibly different for people to own homes. How did that happen? I thought that wasn't supposed to happen under capitalism. Like, come on.
Debt is increasing. That your money is becoming worthless.
Capitalism.
In the coming months.
All of these things happening
now, I think we're under
a capitalism
cycle. What's less and less popular is hearing about privilege.
Also, the unemployment sector. First of all, the Fed is attempting to drive up unemployment on behalf of employers by increasing interest rates. So let's be clear. The system is squeezing the poor, the working class, in an attempt to give them less bargaining power, less leverage, so that they will accept worse wages, which will not Let me be clear to anybody out there job hunting right now. These home prices are not going back. Understand that. You're going to end up like the wages are going to go down. The home prices will not. That is my uneducated economic prediction, and I'll stick with it. At the end of the day, the same amount of people who can't buy houses today are going to be the same people who can't buy houses 5 years from now. Because wages won't go up and prices won't move enough.
Privilege walks or hearing about Pan-Trans Awareness Day.
It's good. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. Welcome aboard.
Wokeism is a smokescreen grenade. It is trying to confuse.
A smoke? Do you mean a smoke grenade? You guys really need to get your terminology fixed around here. There's a grenade and there's a smoke grenade. You throw the smoke grenade out so that you can cross. I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not going to explain smoke grenades. God damn it, idiot! Smoke screen grenade. What the fuck?
Shock bang grenade to try to say I don't know what direction things are. As soon as
they them pronouns and pansexual in a polyamorous relationship. Oh, thank you. It's very nice, Gherkin.
Months. That's why
Hope you're having a nice day.
They're afraid that the woke ideas are becoming largely unpopular and that the economic reality that's about to set in is going to unite almost everybody on the right, on the left, to point at the Uniparty and say, you've been stealing from us for the last couple decades. And
I'm assuming when he says the Uniparty, he means, I'm assuming he's referring to like a, what's the word? The kind of shared goals, or at the very least, shared goal. Yeah, I guess shared goals of the Republican and Democratic Party, which is basically just corporate rule. That's the only thing they're actually interested in is corporate takeover. That is the only thing they're interested in. Tucked away in all of the nonsense theocratic fascist talk that Charlie Kirk ends up spinning a million yards around, is always that nugget of truth of like, is the system broken? Is the system corrupt? Yes. Unfortunately, all the things that he wants to do to fix it would neither make the system any better and would probably actually result in people living in a lower quality of life with less freedom and really less ability to live the lives that they want to live. It would just be fitting into the hierarchical structure that Charlie likes, which again is mostly based on his religion. So
I'm not okay with that. And disenfranchising us from our own country. Yes, disenfranchising us from our own country. That's so important to understand that we're being disenfranchised from our own country.
So understand also, you'll notice these guys are not big immigration stans. They don't like immigration. Notice the way that they always frame it as their country. That's also going to be always a big talking point in terms of reactionary and right-wing politics, that this country is theirs and it's being taken from them. Now, also there's that tiny nugget of like, oh, what's the Uniparty, which I said earlier was the Democrats and Republicans, but actually upon a second thought, I think we both know what I'm going to say, right? What do they always say when they want to point to one single group, one single force at the top of the entire system, manipulating it to take it from real Americans? It's the Jews. If that's not obvious, it always eventually comes back to the Jews, because eventually you got to put a name to who this nebulous group is. Eventually. That's also where the right replacement theory comes from. So I'm sure Tucker won't mention any of that.
But do you think, James, that this economic crisis will overcome the cult mentality that exists?
Dude, I need you to touch grass. I can't believe you brought your table.
Shake out of cults, man. I mean, that's Leon Festinger, right? He infiltrates the UFO cult. UFO doesn't come. What a big surprise! No UFO.
Wait, go back.
Crisis will overcome the cult mentality that exists among so many of these people on the left.
I mean, people.
I love the idea that like the left leftists are in a cult. Meanwhile, you guys are surrounded by LED boards for your little right-wing club. Like I'm sick and tired of the cult thing being thrown around, mainly because we know what cults are. These aren't cults. Like, Like, it's fucking stupid.
People don't just shake out of cults, man. I mean, that's Leon Festinger, right? He infiltrates the UFO cult.
I don't even know who that is.
Tell him what a big surprise. We know UFO. And then what did people do? They said, well, it came spiritually and like turned around because, I mean, so the people who are fully brainwashed by this, they need help. And I mean it. It's really not going to be good for them. What will happen, though, is that most of the people that are supporting it, most of the people that are putting their black square on their profile or whatever, aren't that committed. They're not actually fully bought into the cult. They're confused. And when things...
Okay, so we're just doing the nobody actually knows what anybody's opinions are? Is that what we're going with? Okay. What am I supposed to say to this? What? Oh, well, I don't think real people believed in leftist values. Well, you could read a poll. You could talk to people. Just kind of a thought. Yeah, there's how many, 7 million Americans or something? No, it's like 3.5 million or some shit like that. Whatever the number of Americans are. You can just ask them or read polling data, dumbass. Like, you can figure this shit out. It's not completely abstract, unable to be able to tell to figure any of this stuff out. It's not that complex.
Things start to shake, they're going to start to see that this isn't what they thought it was. And a lot of them will start to come back to reality. When you break the active measure, when you break the psyop, when you turn off the television, people's brains start to readjust to the reality in front of them. And this starts to happen when reality shocks them back. Most of them, and enough for the key word I said earlier, is a critical mass of people. That's where you're going to get this uprising Steve's talking about. This is when you have a critical mass of people who say, no more. Then
have we hit that critical mass?
Everything's going to start to change, and it's going to change very quickly.
Have we hit that critical mass? I'm sorry. I don't know if, I'm not sure if these guys were under a fucking rock for the midterms, but there wasn't really much of a critical mass for you guys in terms of midterms. So maybe it's just me. Not sure where this critical mass. I mean, granted, all of this is like when they say critical mass, whenever they talk about any of that sort of stuff, it's always trying to reinforce or frame the United States' politics as center-right. All of my life, I've been told we're a center-right country, we're a center-right country, we're a center-right country. And it's mostly just hogwash, bullshit. It's not actually true. When Americans are polled per policy, per value system, not system, but per like value outcome, most Americans end up agreeing with more leftist politics. Unfortunately, the Republican Party does a really good job of scaring its voters and unfortunately being good at winning elections when they shouldn't.
We have to keep pressing.
And Democrats also suck. There's also that.
It more clear with the see through the smoke grenade, the flashbang. You have to keep.
Oh, now it's a flashbang now, guys. Pick your thing.
And because of people like you, it's going to keep being an increasing liability for them, and they're not going to be able. They're going to try to get rid of it as hard as they can when it gets to that point.
I don't think these guys know what the hell a grenade is. For people who are like really into like 2A bullshit, like guys, that first it was a smoke grenade, then it was a regular grenade. First it was a smoke, now it's a flashbang now. Like, Christ above. Jesus wept. Okay. Anyway, so continuing with America Fest, I want to hear what Tucker had to say. But first, I'm going to do one thing, which is open the window above me because it's kind of hot. Oh, that's already a bit better. Okay, there we go. So, Tucker Carlson last year also showed up to this thing and also had a pretty fashy speech. So I'll be curious to kind of see how he one-ups himself this year. So let's take a look and let's kind of. I think it'd be good to do this at at least 1.5, because if not, we're gonna be here a really long time. What is the sound? Okay.
We have boys and girls, they grow up to become men and women. This is not the product of our choice. It's not what we want. It's what happens organically because it is nature. Putting low IQ ideologues like Sammy Cortez in charge of the power grid.
Okay. I'm not going to critique his promo video.
It's not hard to have a decent country. It's not complicated.
The end of civilization.
Speech is under attack. Loyalty to your family, to your faith, just because they require you to violate all of that doesn't mean you have to.
Boom, boom. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. This is like way too much pomp and circumstance for a guy who looks like he just got off 18 holes.
Thank you. What a trip. We have smoke machines just like that in my house. I pad into the kitchen this morning in my boxers and they go off. Seems appropriate. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So funny. I never.
Hilarious. Remember what I said about right-wing comedy?
I honestly, I say this every year. I come to this every year, and I always open by saying, I never go anywhere.
Holy shit! How are you so?
Totally true. So this is like my one venture out of my house of the year.
Good God,
and I just
man.
love it. I run into really. I live far and away in isolation with my wife and 4 dogs, and I love my life. But
does Tucker Carlson not have kids? Really? That's fascinating.
I come to a place like this, and I run into every person I've ever known and liked throughout my entire. I ran into Harmeet Dillon backstage, who I absolutely love.
Woo! I have no idea who that is.
Very few lawyers in the country who still believes in the Bill of Rights and is trying to go to
Who
Washington.
the fuck knows who lawyers, like individual lawyers, are?
And make it better, a person of integrity.
Who cheers for that?
Other people I know. So it is a huge blessing for me to be here. Thank you very much for having me. I've spent the last 3 hours backstage chatting like a 7th grade girl, just like a magpie. And another thing. So
What is going
I'm not all
on?
talked out.
Sometimes I don't really know what to say when Tucker does his relatable guy laugh shtick. It kind of comes off more like really more like a 1960s Batman villain. That's really more what it comes out to. Comes off as.
Well, you're nice. Thank you. But I was thinking the last month, as I was flying out here this morning, I was thinking, what am I going to talk about? And
the usual fashy stuff, probably.
I can't stop talking. I can't decelerate. But the last month really has been one of the most interesting. I don't know if we have enough critical distance to call it transformative, but it's really changed the way I think about a lot of things. Which, when you're 53, is a rare occurrence. As you get older, your beliefs tend to oscillate.
Wow, holy shit! I'll give him credit. He looks good for 53. Granted, he's got an entire makeup department, but yeah, credit's due.
And you're like, I first thought of that in 1985, and it's still true. So it's kind of nice to have something pierce those assumptions and learn something new. And the midterm elections taught me a number of new things. And I should preface my story of what I've learned by telling you that you never learn anything except through pain and humiliation. I wish that weren't true. Unfortunately, no one has put me in charge of the rules of nature, so that is the law. And it's unchanged.
Really? You can't learn anything without... Okay. Okay. If you're conservative, like, why are you part of this movement? Like, I can't help but just be like, what is appealing about this? That's what I'm really curious about. Like, what's appealing about being a conservative? Like, going through life, like, with this terminal, like, belief that you have to suffer, that you have to be in pain to grow? Like, it's a bit odd. It's just a bit odd.
But you never learn anything from succeeding. I have never learned anything from succeeding, from getting what I want. I've only learned from failure, and particularly from humiliation. That is, I'm sorry, I wish that weren't true. Yeah, well, exactly. And I thought of that on the plane today. I'm like, I'm literally flying to Maricopa County, Arizona.
Yeah, where you guys took like a massive L. Okay.
It couldn't be more perfect. That I think all adults should do when confronted with their own failure. I went pheasant hunting for 3 days. No, I did. I literally did. I went to South Dakota,
average man.
the cold,
what a truly average
I did.
man.
And there was a ton going on.
The average man, Tucker
I never
Carlson.
take time off because I like my job, but I did. And I did it because I needed some silence in which to marinate in my shame.
And to
because
fire loud weapons.
Out of that would
loud
come
firearms.
enlightenment, or at least the beginning of it. And here's what I concluded. A couple of things.
Okay.
This was a fantastic reminder that we can't really predict events very well as people. actually. There is a limit to our insight about the future, to our predictive powers. That's not a limitation of talk show hosts or of people who come to Turning Point. That is a human limitation that every person is bound by because, repeat after me, we are not God. So we actually don't know what the future...
What if I don't believe in God? What if I'm just like, anybody can because it doesn't exist? Crazy thought? Crazy thought? Also, what is God really like? Whatever, who cares?
Future holds, actually. And
hey,
us on the way out of this building. And pray God we won't be, but we could be. And that's a truth that we live with every day, and if we're wise, we never forget it.
Wait, what?
We don't know what's coming on the way out of this holds, actually. And not to be morbid,
why do you keep pausing?
but we could all get hit by a bus on the way out of this building. And pray God we won't be, but we could be. And that's a truth that we live with every day, and if we're wise, we never forget it. We don't know what's coming. We control the moment we're living in now, and that's it, and barely even that. We have less power than we think. We can't even cure male pattern baldness, okay? No, it's true.
Yeah, you can.
It's true.
Wait,
or add...
have you never heard of Bosley? You never heard of any of the, like, what, 12 companies that you can, like, get your, like, hair rejuvenated from? There's okay.
A single hair to the top of our heads, in other words. So to tell ourselves, like, we've got it all figured out, we know what's going to happen, we are lying to ourselves, and when we say it out loud, we're lying to others and misleading them. So we should start with the knowledge of our own limitations. We are limited, and that is the beginning of wisdom, right there. That's the beginning of wisdom. And the opposite of that, by the way, is the beginning of hubris, which is the cause of virtually all the suffering now currently on display. People who don't understand their own limitations, who don't understand how unwise they are, who have no sense of their own ridiculousness, who really believe they've got it all figured out, and only if we can get a bigger supercomputer and more AI, we'll have the future mapped. People who make that claim, and worse, who believe it, have made the fatal error in life, which is mistaking themselves for God.
Oh.
And as far as I'm concerned, that's the division in life. There's clearly, and you can smell it, and I should say at the outset that I was raised an Episcopalian, so my spiritual discernment is blunted at best. So don't take any theological lecture from me, please. I stayed with that church till 2 years ago. That's how out of it I am. And it's like fully a pagan enterprise now. Like, literally, I think they're burning.
Okay. So, while Tucker's kind of doing his little speech, I kind of want to... this did not go... Go back. I want to kind of briefly look at this. So, Umberto Eco, he's got his 14 points of fascism. They seem like the best and most concise way, but so we already heard Tucker kind of talk about the what's the word, the reality, that pain and that suffering and that embarrassment and everything else is the only way to learn, to grow. Now, what do you think that's... What you know, I feel like that's going to end up being... Where is it? Which one am I looking for? No. Here it is. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. People. Yes, everybody is educated to be a hero, which leads to the embrace of the cult of death, as Eco says, or a fascist hero is impatient to die. In his impatience, he more frequently sends others people to death. This is one of those cases where you end up seeing people who memorialize, who revere suffering, who revere pain, who revere negative outcomes because they have this weird fucking belief that it somehow makes them better. Suffering is suffering. You are better by learning more things, not by suffering through more things. Nobody, like, you go to get an education, there's no suffering you should be put through to achieve that education and to learn and to grow. It's just weird. It's fucking weird. It's just weird to me.
Calves they've slaughtered or something at the altar. But I can feel that a lot of people just in my orbit, and I see it in conversation. I'm not sure there's like some great revival going on, but there is a growing sense that we can't see everything that's happening. There are other forces at work here. That's not a sectarian point. I'm not making a case for Christianity, though I could and would be happy to, but I don't need to here. But that's not what I'm doing. I'm not making a point about a specific religion. I'm making a point about the existence of something more powerful than us.
Sure. I mean, Tucker, I don't think you would. You know, something tells me I don't think Tucker, if Tucker was like, well, Islam, he'd probably be like, whoa, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know if Tucker would be too happy talking Islam in that position, in that way.
And that shouldn't be a point that anyone would have to make, because it's just so obvious. You're born knowing that. Every person has, inborn, literally at birth, a sense of justice, of right and wrong, a sense of betraying.
I mean, kinda. You do realize what is like justice is not universal. Justice is societal. Now, there are systems of justice and there are values of justice that are better than others. But justice in the U.S. looks very different than justice in Saudi Arabia. But they're both still called justice, notice.
Other people lying to them, stealing from them, hurting them is wrong. The fine points we are taught, but the basic facts we know. They arrive, like a dog's ability to swim. Like we're born with it. Now, why are we born with that? And it's always the same. You can read Hammurabi's...
Are dogs born with the innate ability to swim or the innate ability to not fucking die and drown? Like, this is one of those things where, yes, you will flail about until you figure out how to not fucking drown. But if you throw a baby into water, they're fucked. Like, what?
Code. You know, one of the first
throw a puppy into water, they're fucked.
You would recognize the moral code
they don't know what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, the beheadings seem a little much.
Huh?
But the
Tucker,
crimes are still crimes.
He's being honest right
because
there.
It never changes because we didn't write the rules. Duh. So what does that tell you? It tells you there's something bigger than us. And that's never something that most people, at most periods in history, in fact, at any period in history, have ever needed to learn. Because they knew it. It was assumed. There's never been, in other words, just to put a fine point on it, there has never been a society at scale in all history that we know of until now that was secular.
America? I'm sorry to break this to you, Tucker. The U.S. is secular. We do not have an establishment of religion in this country. And also, if you want to look through history, theocratic states or countries, whatever term you want to use, I don't know if you look through the history. There's not a clean bill of health from theocracies around the world. Again, take a look at Saudi Arabia and you let me know if they're living by, God's rules and by God's justice.
Where it wasn't just an obvious observation that there was a God, or there was some force larger than us, that we weren't the last word.
This is like incredibly also small-minded.
Every single one of them ruled.
Also,
Roman Empire to that fake duchess from Santa Monica who's married to the airhead kid who's going to be king.
The cult of tradition characterized by cultural syncretism, centricism, I believe, even at the risk of internal contradiction. While all truth has already been revealed by tradition, no new learning can occur, only further interpretation and refinement.
Ever, and by we I mean the West, where that's not taken for granted. Why is that significant? Well, here's why. Because in place of that has been the option, which is leaders who believe they are God. And the problem with believing you're God is you're not. You're not. And you can't be. That's just not true. So
wait. That gets a clap? What is that? This is the largest. I'll be honest. I'm disappointed. I would think that the largest conservative pundit figure on the right would be not just more interesting, but just have something more of substance. All this is circular logic around one's religious beliefs that mean nothing to anybody that's not named Tucker Carlson. Like, none of this means anything. This is all just fugazi, it's woozy, it's awazi, it's nothing, it's fairy dust.
So it's not just an offense against theology,
It's an offense against reality. Like, that's not true. You can't extend your own life, much less walk on water, much less...
Wait, extend your own life? You mean when people get sick and don't die because they take medicine? Or when people get cancer diagnoses and they don't die within the amount of months that they're given? You mean when people change their diets and they end up living longer due to a change in the caloric quality and intake? Like, what is this?
Fix a complicated diplomatic situation? Like, you have no power. And the minute you pretend otherwise, you lead us into disaster. And that is true at the national level. Having people who don't believe in God, in other words, who don't acknowledge an authority above themselves, isn't just like bad, it's a recipe for total destruction.
You know, it's actually funny. This is actually an interesting take. Tucker Carlson is primarily concerned with the idea of having leaders, with the concept of leaders not believing that there is a higher force above them. What Tucker Carlson is describing is a vertical hierarchical system. What Tucker Carlson finds to be the, what's the word? The not preferred, but the best, you know, or you know, in his mind he'd describe it as, well, this is reality. But let's be honest, he's advocating for a system, for an understanding of power that is not beholden to the people below you, that any leader should be interested or care or feel beholden to the people below them. Think about that for a second. Tucker Carlson paints himself as an everyman, as a man of the people. But yet, when it comes down to it, Tucker is more comfortable and more interested in preserving a system where a king, a president, a pope, what else? A prime minister, whoever, he is most comfortable in a system where that person running your country, they don't feel accountable to you. They don't look upon the people that they lord over, that the people have chosen to put in that position of power. He wants a system where those people aren't concerned at all about regular people, about normal people, about not just working people, but the people, the powerless in that system. The powerless have no voice in his system. The powerless have no voice in his ideology. Because you're not God, and your president, whoever that might be, your prime minister, your whatever, they're not God. God is this nebulous creature in the sky who tells them, who tells the leaders and governs the leaders by no material or earthly means. Meaning, if you're a king, and we understood this, we all understand this. Did kings lose sleep over their serfs dying, starving, being pillaged, being murdered? No. Kings aren't interested in that. Kings are not concerned with the well-being of peasants. Because a king's only allegiance, I don't even not allegiance, a king's only concern is to their God. And whoever their God even is. I think we all understand how this, I think it's pretty evident. Is it ever consistent? Is it ever consistent? Do those with ultimate power ever rule in a way that does not benefit them even just a little bit more than it does the people that they lord over? That's the system Tucker wants. That's what average man Tucker Carlson wants. That's the system he advocates for.
Period. And just to be clear, I'm not making that point as a Christian, which I am. So I'm not saying you need, I'm making a much broader, more ecumenical, more human point. Leaders who don't believe in God think they are God. Repeat after me. Leaders who don't believe in God think they are God. And the last person you ever want in charge is someone who is demonstrably insane.
Also, again, this is mostly just theocracy. Oh, I forgot to switch it. Sorry. This is mostly just theocracy. Doing the whole, if you don't believe in God, then I'm going to extrapolate that to a completely different belief, which means that you're, I don't even know what you'd say, you're against God or against my religion. That's probably what he would end up arguing. But that is arguing for theocracy. That's all you're arguing for. Or at the very least, arguing for a establishment of a specific religion and a religious test for those in power, which has always been ruled out in our founding texts.
Anyone who thinks he's God is by definition insane. And so they are.
Sure, I don't.
And that fact, I would say, explains the majority of.
What happens if I turn on God mode while I'm in a PC game, while I'm in a video game? Is that, if I enter God mode, can I be God then?
Of what we're seeing now, the things that confuse me as a middle-aged man who's looking out on a country I don't recognize, and more specifically a politics I don't understand. So why would you be encouraging children to mutilate their bodies? No, I mean, yeah, it's offensive.
The rejection of modernism, which views the rationalistic development of Western culture since the Enlightenment as a descent into depravity. Eco distinguishes this from the rejection of superficial technological advancements, as many fascist regimes cite their industrial potency as proof of the vitality of their systems. Rejection of modernism is going to be basically anything that post-Enlightenment, Western culture aligned people like Tucker Carlson will describe as, homosexuality or any kind of deviation from the heterosexual norm. Like that is primarily what he is concerned about.
I mean, obviously as a parent, I'm a room full of parents and young people, like it's very offensive on that level. But think about it philosophically. Like, why would that be so important to you? Why? Why would that be so important? Why would advocating for abortion, not tolerating abortion, I am pro-life and people, like it's very
One
offensive
moment,
on that
go back real quick.
To mutilate their bodies. And that fact, I would say, explains the majority of what we're seeing now. The things that confuse me as a middle-aged man who's looking out on a country I don't recognize, and more specifically a politics I don't.
Yes, welcome to the world. It changes and you're old and it's not going to stay the same. This is a fundamental inability to grasp the concept of time moving forward. This is, if you can read a clock, you should be able to understand this. But unfortunately, Tucker's brain is broken, which actually, I don't really think that. Tucker's way too rich and way too well educated for his brain to be just broken. He mainly, I would guess, just wants to make money. That's the goal of this.
Don't understand. So why would you be encouraging children to mutilate their bodies? No, I mean, yeah, it's offensive. I mean, obviously as a parent, I'm a room full of parents.
Who's doing that? Tucker. Who's doing that? When you say mutilate, be specific.
Young people, like it's very offensive on that level. But think about it philosophically. Like, why would that be so important to you? Why? Why would that be so important? Why would advocating for abortion, not tolerating abortion, I am pro-life and I mean it, actually. But it's just...
Whoa, shot across the bow. I have no idea who he's talking shit about.
It's true. But I also, since I grew up in a tolerant country that acknowledged that decent people disagreed, I'll just say out loud, I know people who consider themselves pro-choice who are thoroughly decent people. I think they're completely wrong, but I don't think they're evil. And that's kind of...
Right. That being pro-choice is the freedom stance. Being pro-life is being anti-choice. That's the pro-life only means anti-choice. That's all it actually means, substantively.
Where we lived until 2 years ago, when all of a sudden you started seeing people advocating for abortion. Like, no, it's a good thing. What? That's not the conversation I grew up with. The conversation I grew up with was, there are situations where people are forced to do this bad thing. So within the last couple of years, you've had people stand up and say, no, it's the key.
You're right. The left has never argued that people don't like participating in abortions. People need the ability to participate in an abortion safely, which is actually if you spent any time on LeftTube or Left Twitch or really any leftist space, the argument has never been that abortions are good. The argument is that abortions are a fact of life, and are an element of healthcare that we should respect.
Salvation, abortion. Why would you say something like that? What does that mean? It's at that point that you realize we're not really having a political conversation. This is not a conversation.
Does Tucker ever ask these questions to people who would actually answer them, or does he just ask them in the void and kind of go down and then make up the answer in his head and then respond to it? I'm assuming that's kind of what he's...
About our rights, our bodily autonomy. And by the way, I'm sorry, the bodily autonomy argument, the my body, my choice, you kind of blew that with the vax mandates, son. So back off a little bit.
No, because bodily autonomy when it comes to one's personal health is different from bodily autonomy from a national national health crisis. Like, those two things are different. One is a interpersonal decision. The other is a societal risk of like mass death. Like, those are two very simple. Also, let's remember, it was never illegal for you to not take the vaccine. You got criticized. You absolutely got criticized. You got, people looked at you and went, "You're a fucking idiot." And that's well within their rights. They're allowed to call you a fucking idiot. You're allowed to say you don't care. And, when a business is like, "Oh, you don't care. Cool. I don't want you getting people sick in my restaurant or my place of business. You can go elsewhere." They have a right to do that. Business owners have a right to not have their businesses be festering fucking cesspools for the diseases that you're not interested in averting the spread of. Yeah, that's pretty fair, I think. Whereas getting an abortion is Republicans are actively trying to make it illegal. Leftists, Democrats were never talking about making it illegal to not get the vaccine. And it's just part of living in this thing called a society, something that right-wingers never have liked, really, to be honest. They've always been anti-society. They've always been anti-community and anti all of this stuff. They just want to live in their own little bubbles. Just, it's fine, but you can go elsewhere for that. Go find some land in Iceland, Greenland, wherever. Go buy yourself some sovereign land and get the fuck out of our society then. Like, that's all I can tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Obviously. By the way, as one of the only people in my business who actually thought it was my body and my choice and was screamed at for it, buzz off. But anyway, sorry, leaving that aside. Leaving my eccentric medical choices out of it. I would just say it's not really about that. And those of us who were dumb enough to think it was, those of us who were still like referring to slogans written 50 years ago to explain what was happening today, missed the whole story. No, it's not about that at all. Anyone who's advocating for abortion as a positive good is doing something very different. It's not advocating for women or choice or freedom. This person's advocating for killing other people.
Yeah, it is. So also, do we are fetuses people now? Is because I'm sorry, I don't know if Tucker's ever seen a fetus, but fetuses look more like fucking aliens than they do people, first of all. And also from a mechanical standpoint, fetuses are not able to survive outside of the womb. So how could they possibly be people? How can you be a person when you are necessarily dependent on another being? You're not your own person. You are only a person by the charity of somebody else. That's not personhood. Like, spare me.
Like, what is that?
And also, it is good. Abortion, it does have positive outcomes from a macro level. Communities and societies do better when women aren't forced to constantly have children, especially in an economy which does not allow them to run households with one income. How many people need to have two incomes coming in to raise one kid? The old days of having one income for an entire family, those days are over. Those days are over. There is a lot that has to happen if we want that kind of structure for society to come back. But all you're going to be getting by, criminalizing abortions is more unsafe abortions, because at the end of the day, women are going to be stuck with an inability to work, an inability to find jobs, an inability to actually raise children. And for those reasons, they're going to take matters into their own hands. So if you actually care about life and quality of life of children, you would support abortion. Not as like a, they make this up of this like liberal or even leftist who likes the ideas of abortion. Nobody likes the idea of abortions. But at the end of the day, nobody benefits from being forced to carry rape babies, incest children. Nobody benefits from this. Those kids don't benefit. Those parents don't benefit. The only people who do benefit, actually, are the people who Tucker Carlson most likely is interested in courting here, which are capital owners. At the end of the day, the more people there are in the country, the more people you can employ, which means the more people you can exploit for more and more profit. That's the only class of people who would be mildly interested from a class standpoint in less abortions, in more people being birthed each year. More people to make you some money. More people to work on your line, on your food lines. More people to work in your Walmarts. More people to work on your registers. More people to stock your shelves. More people to deliver your groceries. More people to deliver your Amazon. Everything else. The only people who benefit from this, capital owners.
What is that? Not tolerating killing of other people. Not like, wars are bad, but sometimes you have to in self-defense. I get it. I may disagree with you. On abortion, I may disagree with you, but this is a different thing. No, you should do this. Our Treasury Secretary said, literally, Janet Yellen said. Janet Yellen, who, I can't get over this. Since I'm aging, I get stuck on certain things and keep repeating them. Janet Yellen ran the Fed. So, why is the US dollar worth so much less than it was 15 years ago? Janet Yellen? Anyone? Janet Yellen, anyone? It's like, you did that, and then you became Treasury Secretary? At that point, it's like, meet your new Treasury Secretary, Sam Bankman-Fried. As long as we're rewarding fraud with high government positions. Anyway.
Whoa, the Treasury Department is filled with corrupt appointees. Man, it's always funny. This is also kind of the thing with conservatives, is like, now that Biden's in power, they've suddenly found their critique of financial institutions, but the entire time Trump's in charge, you didn't hear a word of any of this stuff. Nobody talked about any of the financial corruption, because at the end of the day, Trump was in power, and that's the thing they cared about. All of the fake interest in financial corruption. It's all only when Democrats are in power. No interest when Republicans are.
Comes out on television. I don't know how she was Treasury Secretary in charge of wrecking the economy, and all of a sudden she's like on TV saying, yeah, well, some people are feeling this inflation thing, which we don't acknowledge is real, but for those of you who claim it is, get an abortion. What? What is that?
Is that what she said?
It's demonic. That's exactly what it is. It is. That's next level. That is.
It's also fiction.
That is
like
purely
Satan.
An effort to hurt people, not help them. If you cared, and I do care. My dad was adopted. And his mom was like 15. And I get it. A pregnant girl. As the father of daughters, you feel for that person who feels trapped, no choice, no future. It's a disaster.
But
I don't think it justifies abortion, but I certainly understand why people feel like they have no choice.
Wait. So what are they supposed to do? You feel sympathy for them? They're stuck. They're trapped. They're 15 or whatever the fuck age. At the end of the day, what Tucker Carlson is arguing for at its maximalist amount of damage is like 12-year-olds getting fucking raped and then having to carry that rape baby to term. And when Tucker Carlson is presented with the just historic, nobody's ever heard of it, idea of, what if we utilized abortion technology so that we do not burden 12-year-olds with rape babies, or really, quite frankly, anybody who is raped or assaulted, and, instead of saddling them with a child to raise for 18 years, No, but no. What is Tucker Carlson? Well, no, you can't do that because you can't do that. I feel sympathy for you, but you know, at the end of the day, you're killing another person. I just don't know what to tell you. It's just my belief that it's another person. There's no real part of this that makes any kind of sense. It's not like that person really can experience anything. It's just a fetus right now. It doesn't really mean anything. There's no real change in the world materially. But you know, it's my religion. It's the thing I believe. So I think you should be going by my beliefs, which is that it's a person. So now you can live with a baby for the next 18 years. Like that is his strongest argument. Apparently that's his strongest argument, that people just have to suck it the fuck up when you're 12 and like your fucking Catholic priest fucking molests you. And guess what? You just got to deal with it. Sorry, you know, thoughts and prayers. We feel really sorry for you, but nope, you're gonna have to deal with the consequences of that. So you know, good luck. Your rapist might be in jail. He might not. You might never see him again. You know, you might get like 10 cents every single year because he's in jail and he makes no money. So you know, say goodbye to any kind of financial assistance from the father or anything. Good luck. You're fucked. Deal with it, fucking nerd. That's all this leads to. That's all this leads to. Fucking jeez. Sympathy. Get the fuck out of here. Fucking think you're a good person. By literally, this guy probably thinks he believes in Jesus. Meanwhile, actively advocating for a world where children are saddled with other children because they were molested by adults. Does that seem very like Jesus-y to you? Maybe I'm crazy, but it's not very Jesus-y as far as I can tell. I forgot the part where Jesus said, help the poor, heal the sick, make them carry the babies. Like, I forget where that was in there.
I get it. But if you really cared about the woman, you would say, what can we do to help you? How can we help you?
An abortion, dumbass. The fuck?
Obviously. If that happened to someone you love, I don't care if you're pro-choice or pro-life. It doesn't matter. If you really love that person, you say, how can I help you? I love you. I want to help you. You wouldn't say...
They'd be like, help me get to an abortion center so my life is not utterly ruined by being raped. That's what a normal person would say. A normal person would go, oh, okay. Tucker Carlson on the other hand would probably be like, well, I don't know about that.
Say, just go get an abortion. Stop whining. So what does that tell you? Well, they don't love you. They're trying to hurt you.
What?
So why are they trying to hurt you? There's no rational explanation.
What's the harm? What's the harm? What's the harm?
Good or bad?
What's the harm?
In a world where the rules have been suspended.
Nothing. That's what I thought. Nothing.
You can't say that's bad. Then we can't really say anything's bad. And what's bad is just what the people currently in charge tell us is bad. But that doesn't mean anything. I like chocolate. You like vanilla. I mean, that's not a moral code. That's a fad.
I do remember that, Roger Sterling.
As people who want to sort of try occasionally, at least on Sundays, to be decent, we should have a way of knowing.
You would also think Tucker Carlson would like the idea of like immigrants coming in and having kids, since he's so pro pregnant women bringing delivering kids. You would think he'd love that. You would think he'd love Hispanics. We love popping out babies.
Good or bad. Now, traditionally, I think for most Christians, it's like, well, just ask your pastor. But then, at least as someone who grew up in a church that became pagan, I can tell you that doesn't always work. So, yeah, I think that's a totally fair answer. But for people who aren't going to dive into the Bible, I think there's a beginning, a simpler way to get a sense, and you can put a finer point on it later. But here's how I assess whether an idea is good or bad. By its fruits. And what are those? Well, first of all, any idea that causes a lot of people to suffer for no reason is demonstrably bad. That's obvious. But
okay, that's literally okay. Keeping it broad, I like it. Keeping it vague.
I'll also say that bad ideas produce chaos. They produce...
Okay, again, broad, vague, doesn't mean anything. Got it.
Disorder. They produce noise. They produce ugliness, physical ugliness, aesthetic ugliness. Bad ideas produce ugly things. That's why our great basilicas are beautiful.
How many people have had like a good time on like a bad idea? Have you ever done that? You ever like done something that you're like, this is stupid, and then you had like a good time? You know, you ever like, you know, you go out, you drink or something, or you know, maybe you went to like you know, if you have like casinos or something, you were like, this would be a really bad idea to put like 40 on this, fuck it, and then you know, you win some money, you have a good time. You know, am I the only one who's like done something that's stupid or the not like best decision and then kind of enjoyed like the experience of like making a mistake and it not turning out horribly. Maybe I'm just crazy. Might be crazy on that one.
Right? That's why the dollar store is ugly. Because one,
you can find
the idea that
you can find nice, useful things at the dollar store.
About God, and the other grew out of the idea, let's sell more cheap plastic crap from China to poor people. Okay, so one grew out of, I think, the most noble idea, and the other a less noble idea, and the results are obvious in the way they look. Don't ignore the obvious.
If
something is beautiful, what does that mean? By the way, beauty transcends culture.
Anything.
Go to a place you've never been where you don't speak. Go to Japan next week.
Holy shit!
Japanese, probably don't know a lot
Go to Japan next week. All of you incredibly broke, maybe college students, but probably just the daughters and sons of right-wing political donors. Go to Japan for like a week. Oh yeah. You know, all the kids in college, they just go to Japan whenever they want some new aesthetics. That's, you know, average everyday man Tucker Carlson. Just go to Japan, you know, just go hang out there for a couple weeks.
About the Shinto religion, go to a Shinto temple. The first thing you'll notice is beautiful. Now,
Shinto, for fuck's sake.
The building that you as a modern American who doesn't speak Japanese or practice the Shinto religion think is beautiful, because all beauty is the same. And what is beauty? Beauty is truth. That's the first thing. True things are beautiful and beautiful things are true. It's true. It's not a pose, it's real. It's real.
Okay, 1 second. I want to see this. Boomer, Gen Xer. I can't tell. This kid doesn't give a fuck. He's fucking bored. Same with this one. I think this kid's a virgin. Boomer. Probably like a Gen X or maybe a millennial. Wow. Fucking rousing young people crowd. Fucking they got our millennial representative here in the chicken guy from fucking Toy Story 2. At least that's good.
And the most beautiful things are real. Your children, your dogs, nature, those are real things. They're beautiful.
Yes, they are.
And the second thing you'll notice about it is that it's calming. Beautiful things are calming. They don't
Huh? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love calming. That's incredibly true too. It's also beautiful and true, but
excite you. They calm you. They make you feel peaceful.
Oh, calm you.
And how do they do that?
Well,
through symmetry, physical symmetry. This side is equal to this side, just like in nature.
Or is he saying calming? I can't tell.
Have you ever noticed that? In case you're wondering if there was a grand design here, I know this all evolved randomly.
Wait, what?
And somehow it evolved randomly in a beautiful way, in a recognizably beautiful way.
Wait.
Through symmetry.
Through
symmetry, physical symmetry. This side is equal to this side, just like in nature.
Whoa, nature? Have you ever looked at a fucking mountain? Is there symmetry in a fucking mountain? Wait. Has Tucker Carlson never heard like the God doesn't build in straight lines thing? Seriously? Fucking nature. Huh? There isn't a straight line in all of nature. There's okay.
Virtually everything in nature is symmetrical. Have you ever noticed that? In case you're wondering if there was a grand design here, I know this all evolved randomly.
I've definitely seen some butterflies.
In a recognizably beautiful way. In a symmetrical way. Now, why is symmetry important? Because it's a product of order. Order. Bring order out of chaos. That's how this all began, we learned in chapter 1, and that is still, to this day, our duty. Bring order out of the chaos. In your home, in the buildings that you build,
fear of additions which fascism seeks to exploit and exacerbate, often in the form of racism or appeal against foreigners and immigrants.
And you don't know how hard it is for me to use the word evil as someone who never grew up using the word evil, but I don't have another word for it. That's exactly what it is. So you will know that an idea is a good idea when the people who follow that idea have lives that are calmer, more orderly, more purposeful, cleaner. By the way, filth, remember the
Oh. Roger Sterling, you might have gotten here right on time.
Phrase, cleanliness is next to godliness. We're like, oh, that's a Victorian phrase. They were so stupid. They had cities without, people smoking meth outside the Civic Center. Idiots. Cleanliness is next to godliness, actually. Yes, you're a mother, I can tell. Right? All the moms like, that's exactly right. It's true, though. It's true. It's totally true.
Is this like one of those, clean your room sort of deals? Is this working? Does this work for right-wingers? Does this work? Is this like convincing?
So anybody who is pushing a program that creates confusion, chaos, disorder, anyone who is pushing...
So understand also, if you're confused, you could, radical idea, educate yourself. That is something you could do. Or you can stew in your ignorance and be ass mad about it. It seems like right-wingers prefer to be ass mad about it. So you could just learn, how many times do I have to hear Matt Walsh or any of them do the what is a woman, what is a man? Like, how about you just shut the fuck up and listen to the answer and like process it and like think about it for a few minutes instead of having a knee-jerk reaction to constantly oppose it because you're like, oh, it doesn't sound like my traditional values. Like, chill the fuck out. Just take a few minutes, use your brain, use that, maybe mold some fucking grooves into that goddamn smooth brains of yours.
Cultural products, which is art, film, literature, quotation marks around all of them because none of them currently are art. But anyone who is pushing art on you that is disordered, chaotic, asymmetrical, architecture, Frank Gehry, anyone? What is that? It's disgusting, is what it is.
The rejection of modernism.
It doesn't elevate us. It crushes us. That's what it does. It's exactly what it does.
Disagreement is treason. Fascism devalues intellectual discourse and critical reason as barriers to action, as well as out of the fear that such analysis will expose the contradictions embodied in a syncretic
I'm still in a good mood for two reasons.
faith.
One, I think it's my moral duty. I think we have an obligation to be cheerful.
Syncretic?
I don't think it's a small thing. Yeah,
Syncretic. I don't know.
I think it's an obligation. I don't think it's something we feel when we have the second cup of coffee, though I always have the second cup of coffee and then the third and the fourth. Yeah, I'm pro coffee.
I just want to say, I'm better than Tucker Carlson. I don't need any coffee.
Yeah.
I work a physically demanding job in real life. Tucker goes to a cushy little studio or spends his weekends at his cushy little studio. Meanwhile, I have to go and make fucking food for urchins like him. So, and I don't need coffee, bitch boy.
I'll say it. I'm pro coffee. There's nothing wrong with that. No prohibitions against that.
Wait a minute. Weren't you complaining about liberals making you drink Starbucks? Wasn't that like a whole Tucker meme? Like where they're like, they're gonna make Joe Biden gets elected, he's gonna make you drink. Oh, seems like you were drinking the coffee anyway. You just do it while seething, I guess.
But I think it's your obligation. Like, you're not here that long. And moping and feeling, sometimes terrible things happen. A loved one dies, you get fired, in my case several times, and you have an absolute right to wallow in it for a bit.
Not quite enough, apparently.
It is immoral to lie in your own emotional filth and roll around. It is immoral. You have no right to do that. That's an offense against the creation, in my opinion.
Oh my goodness.
And be cheerful. As one of my children once said to me, what if I don't feel cheerful?
I love forced positivity. Another aspect, understand also Tucker Carlson is somebody who vehemently believes in the what's the word I'm looking for? In the value of traditional masculinity, which, it's a no wonder that he values the idea of forced positivity, the idea of gritting a smile through pain or hardship, not expressing your feelings, holding that all in, and, for the sake of others for some stupid ass reason, which if there's any guys out there and you're maybe in the age where you like to listen to Jordan Peterson, let me reach out with you in this one moment. Express yourself a little bit more openly and accept that sometimes people are going to be assholes. But that says nothing about you. Express your feelings more openly. Do not hold them in. It is not the manly thing to do. It is not the cool thing to do. It is not the tough thing to do. It's the dipshit thing to do. It is the thing you do when you aren't man enough to be vulnerable in your flaws. Don't listen to this bullshit. Don't listen to this bullshit. Because this will lead you down the path of a lot of resentment, a lot of fucking anger. Because you're going to wonder why the world doesn't coddle you, even though you work so hard to not affect it.
I said, well, pretend? Duh. Well, that's fake. Yeah, good. And the longer you fake it, the more it becomes real. Put on the mask and your face will conform to it. Pretend to be something and you will become it. Pretend to be cheerful. How are you this morning? I'm great. How are you? Great. We both just got a bad diagnosis. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to impose that on you. I'm great.
Has anybody seen, there was like a streamer who, there was like a streamer. I don't know who the fuck he was, but like somebody in chat, I think, said that like their mother died after they greeted them, like commenting or whatever. I guess they hadn't been in chat for very long, but like they then proceeded to berate that person telling them that they needed to not trauma dump, which wasn't what they were doing. They were answering the question honestly, but they were doing the whole like, hey, I asked you how you're doing. You're supposed to say good. You're supposed to say I'm here. You're supposed to say any of the other canned responses that I've decided are acceptable. And that should tell you at the end of the day that that streamer, that person on an interpersonal level, regardless of whether they're a streamer or whether they were out in the real world, regardless, that person, that type of person isn't interested in connections. They're only interested in their position and in their perception from others as their as a social being. They only ask you how you're doing so that the people around them think they're the type of person that cares. They're not actually that person. They're just cosplaying it because they know that type of person is a good person and they are not that.
But the second, I'm getting crazier as I'm getting older. I think it happens
What's
to
happening?
everybody.
What's happening?
Anyway, sorry, excuse me. But
What's
the second
happening?
reason, okay. So the second reason, which
What's
is
happening?
a little bit, actually I'm not joking at all about the cheerfulness thing at all. In fact, I said to one of my children, when picking a spouse, put cheerfulness above almost all else. I'm actually married a cheerful person, and it's been an enduring blessing. I mean it. Because like life throws you stuff, and you know, it's just like I've had a really blessed life.
Jeez. Do we need to look at the crowd? I think we all understand. TPUSA not pulling in the young people that they seem to think they did.
But no one's life is perfect, and things happen you don't expect. You run out of money, or someone you love dies, or your neighbors hate you. And you know, as you go through those things, which will happen to every young person in this room.
What is going on?
You know, being married to someone who is like legit cheerful, says a cheerful spirit.
Can you imagine if Tucker runs for president? We're gonna get the we decided to not send any money back to Ukraine.
What a blessing.
Fucking like,
to be honest,
oh my god.
Anyway, but here's the not that I've experienced it, but I've seen it. But here's the point. Here's the deeper reason that I actually feel really hopeful, and I have no empirical evidence for this at all. But I told you I went.
Well, what's new? Conservatives rarely do.
Pheasant shooting in South Dakota for 3 days, and I was feeling a little bit down and just like I can't believe I did that. I'm 53.
Average man just goes pheasant hunting,
telling people that things that are probably not going to come true will come true, and I should not ever be doing that. So, but then I had this surge of hope and of optimism, and it stemmed from this knowledge that has been earned over time, I would say.
I'm assuming it's going to be one of those like the young people in this room are the future, and the future is more conservative.
Which is, it is 100% true that your lowest points in retrospect were the best moments in your life. That is true. And no one ever wants to believe it.
Okay.
And I think that is both a spiritual principle. I mean, I believe there's an entire book about it. You know, that everything is actually the opposite of what you think it is. That the last really will be first. That's not just a rhetorical device. That some guy sitting by the side of a lake in first century Israel said. Like, that is like a reality. Always and everywhere. If you look back and you're honest on your life and the really sad things that happened, and they are real for everybody, if you're honest, you will see that it's only out of those that happiness grew, that was the foundation for something better, that all wisdom is accrued during those moments. All wisdom, that's definitely true.
Oh, woof.
When you're at your lowest. And that's not like some fake motivational speak or like, no, actually.
That's literally just fake motivational speak. Got it.
Got it. Before the dawn. But it is.
I got that reference.
That's the thing. It is. And the opposite
I got
is
that
also
reference.
True. The opposite is also true. Your victories are so often your losses. I had the great blessing in my life is being able to talk to people. And I did an interview with a guy I didn't know, a wonderful man, a really wonderful man called Jimmy John Leotoad, who started Jimmy John's Sandwich Shop. And
oh, Jimmy John's fucking awful. Fuck, dude. Fuck that. Fucking hate Jimmy John's.
Last spring, and I interviewed him, and I didn't know much about the sandwich shop, and I live very far from sandwich shops, and it's just not my region. And
it's now like a shitty chain that isn't good.
And he started this business in college. Actually, he went to college, but as a young man, he started the sandwich shop out of a garage. He never took any money, no venture money at all. He took like 20 grand from his dad, repaid it, and he works on this thing like
20 grand? I love when they tell these stories. Oh my god. Do your parents have 20 grand to just lend you to start a business? Yeah, I didn't think so.
With maximum full-bore intensity for 30 years. And then he sells it. And he sells it for like 1.8 billion. And his total investment payout was zero because he was the only investor. So he wakes up after 30 years of making sandwiches and he gets over $1 billion. Well, that's like, you don't hear that story every day. And I said,
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the guy who was running Jimmy John's for like 30 years was just working on the sandwich line for all that time, then woke up and decided I'm going to sell the company and make $1 billion. Oh yeah, that also, I don't think Jimmy John's sold for anywhere. If somebody bought Jimmy John's for $1 billion, fuck man, give me $1 billion. Fuck, fucking Jesus, $1 billion for Jimmy John's. How is it you spend $1 billion on like the second worst, maybe even the third worst sandwich chain? Like Potbelly's right there, and like Firehouse is right there. The fuck you even need Jimmy John's for? It's fucking gross cold sandwiches.
I said, what was that like? He goes, it was awful. Really?
Hey, Skeptic Wolf.
It was awful. You know, that's when
I
reached my goal that I devoted my entire life to reaching, and things started to crumble inside me. I had no objective. I had no mission. I wasn't fighting against anything to get where I wanted to go. I was already there.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And when I got there, it was just me. And it really set off a crisis inside me. And by the way, I should say, for the record, I think that crisis made him into a much deeper and happier man. But he had to go through the crisis. And he went through the crisis at exactly the moment of his victory. And he's not the only person who's told me something like that. And I myself have felt that way. Do you really want something?
I love the idea that Tucker couldn't talk to like a small business owner. He went to like the owner of a major like medium food chain. Like that's the average man. That's about as low on the class scale that Tucker dips down into.
It's the kind of
the only recent billionaire or millionaire. You know, we don't talk to those 100,000-aires. No. I talk to the recent millionaires or above.
You feel at the age of 8 when every last present has been opened under the tree and you're like, it's over. And like you're kind of psyched to go play with your new Spider-Man stuff, but then you're like, Christmas is done, you know? That's the moment of victory. When you're 8, victory is Christmas. Like that's all that matters. Like that is, like you've won. But in your victory, you
the idea that this does anything for anybody on the right is nuts to me.
I have no idea how this is going to play out. I'm completely over my brief flirtation with pretending to predict the future. I've thrown my crystal ball away. I'm not going to read your palms. I have no idea what's coming. But I am totally certain in my heart, and I mean it, that when we look back in this moment, and if you're not even conservative, if you just think what's going on now is really wrong and really destructive to the country that you love and imperiling, dangerous to your children and grandchildren, future generations, if you feel that way, and I think most people do, you will look back on this moment of despair and confusion. What the hell just happened? No one really knows. It's bad. We know that. We don't really know how or why. You will look back on this as the beginning.
You know, maybe dig a bit deeper into why you think something bad is happening. Like maybe that's just me. Maybe that might be the thing you want to kind of internally investigate a bit.
Beginning of clarity. You will. Beginning of clarity. This is when I really began to understand what was happening and what I personally could do about it. I changed for the better. Suffering causes growth. That is always true, and it's true now.
Lovely.
Thank you, and I will take your questions.
Lovely. Suffering causes truth. So, if it's any question that, quite frankly, conservatives do a bit better. That was your main eventer. That's the guy who speaks to what, a couple million people every single night. It's just sad. It's just sad, really. I don't even know what to say about that. That was like criminally meandering, and also just kind of like, that's the guy. I don't know, man. I don't know how. I don't know how some of these people do it. I genuinely don't. But to kind of sum up here. Life is pain. Pain is growth. Abortions are bad, but don't cause harm. So I don't know how they're bad. If something feels wrong to you, then don't investigate that. Just kind of go with your gut feeling and go from there. That's kind of the, I'd say that's kind of the that's kind of the moral of the story. I think we got it. I think we got the moral of the story. So anyway, okay, so man, I can't believe that. Anyway, let's see. Actually, maybe not. Let me take like 2 minutes. We're gonna do like a 2-minute break, really quick. I might like chug the rest of this water, then go and get some more, or maybe not. I know Skeptic Wolf wanted to come on, so I'm gonna figure out, see about lining that up. But when we come back, we're gonna watch a wisecrack video about right-wing comedy. We're gonna answer the question here and now: is right-wing comedy funny? So, don't go anywhere. If you're here and you haven't already, you should hit the follow button. And I don't know, can you like streams? I have no idea. I'm assuming you can. But either way, like 2 minutes or something. I can hardly see my computer right now. This is one of them, right? Yeah. This is what happens when you have glasses, folks. And also my vision only goes to like here. So anyway, be back in a jiff. Like that transition, huh? Right at the end of the song. Okay, so let's take a look and let's together answer the question: is right-wing comedy funny? We're gonna go by an objective measure here, which is a wisecrack video. Wisecrack, if you're not aware, is a channel that talks about philosophy and a bunch of other topics. If you haven't seen Wisecrack, good channel. I would definitely suggest subscribing if you like these sorts of conversations, I guess. Anyway.
Okay, I'll admit it. Right-wing comedy.
That's loud. That's really loud. We're turning this down.
Isn't very funny.
Mr. Potato Head's trans. I'm going to bed.
But liberal comedy isn't very funny either.
It's hard to be liberal, let's be honest. But my family, man, I love my family. My dad's a hardcore Trump supporter. My brother's a cop.
Well, that's fun.
And my mom's name is Karen.
So maybe all political comedy is just bad.
This Tuesday, our midterm elections will determine the fate of our democracy, and let's just say, big yikes.
Now, politics and comedy have long been strange bedfellows, but in recent years, things have escalated. Late-night shows have gotten even more partisan, with hosts sounding more and more like pundits and activists.
So, I think off the bat, I just want to say this is already a kind of not just unfair framing, but a misunderstanding of comedians writ large, and also the medium of satire. Generally, and also they're showing this while showing Stephen Colbert, who was for years thought of as a conservative when he was not actually a conservative. He was like actively pretending to be a conservative by being the most outrageous. Honestly, I mean, now like normal conservatives sound like what he would have sounded like while doing a satire of them back then. But like either way, like pundits did not become more partisan. It's simply that with polarization, there was always like people eventually were going to end up naturally in the spaces they more identify with, which comedians in general lean more left wing, especially more successful ones and more funnier ones.
On the other side, Fox News has one of the most popular comedic late-night shows on the air, and a generation of younger right-leaning comedians have taken to the internet to show the world that Republicans can be funny too. Damn it.
Yeah, Gutfeld's show does really, really well. That doesn't actually mean it's funny. It just means it does well. It's on an incredibly popular channel. I mean, it's kind of mixing up what's it called, viewership with viewer opinions.
It was the year that I finally came out to all my friends, and it's really hard telling people
Don't know what that was about
something about yourself that you know is going to push them away. But I couldn't hold it in anymore. I had to let them know that I am a Republican,
even if sometimes they have to explain their.
Let's see. Stephen King estate reveals he died years ago, and his Twitter account is being run by a mentally ill glue-sniffing parrot with Tourette's. Is that okay? Oh, the Babylon Bee. A lot of people are missing the joke here, so allow us to explain. You know, when you gotta explain it, I think the Joker said it famously. It's not funny if you have to explain the joke. It's that Stephen King estate revealed that he died years ago, and the Twitter account is being run by a mentally...
Our own jokes, like the Babylon Bee did.
It's funny.
Which brings us back to the question, does political humor generally suck? Let's find out in this Wisecrack edition. Is right...
So, I don't like the whole, like, is political comedy funny? Or what did he say? Bring that back really quick.
Back to the question, does political humor generally suck? Let's find out.
Yeah, does political humor generally suck? Which isn't really the question. Like, it's not the question of this video, but already it's like political comedy is right-wing comedy. Like, no, political comedy is a lot more than right-wing. Right-wing comedy is just one spectrum of political comedy, the worse, less funny side of that spectrum. It's like asking, is blue blue, even though you've got a million shades, just some are more than others.
In this Wisecrack edition, is right-wing comedy funny? Let's start with something that's always hilarious, definitions. According to philosopher Todd McGowan, comedy occurs when we are surprised by a conjunction of lack and excess. An excessive response to lack, or the emergence of lack occasioned by excess, reveals how every lack is excessive and every excess is lacking. When the coincidence of lack and excess surprises us, this is the comic event. McGowan uses the Black Knight scene from Monty Python's Holy Grail as an example.
Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Arms off. No, it isn't.
Hey, well, chill.
The Black Knight loses,
okay, cool.
The surer he is of his eventual victory, and the more he taunts his opponent with his own superiority. He thus embodies lack and excess simultaneously. It is this disparate connection that provides the key to grasping the comic. If you want to hear more from McGowan, check out the interview that I did with him earlier this year. We'll drop the link in the description. Now, for philosopher Simon Critchley, humor is reduced by a disjunction between the way things are and the way things are represented in the joke, between expectation and actuality. He clarifies this via the incongruity theory of comedy, something he says shows up in people like Kant, Schopenhauer, and Kierkegaard. Now, this is when humor is produced by the experience of a felt incongruity between what we know or expect to be the case and what actually takes place in the joke. Take the famous Andy Kaufman Mighty Mouse sketch. Now, we expect him to sing along, but this expectation is disrupted when he just stands there. After we then expect him to just stand there, he disrupts expectations again by enthusiastically lip-syncing one line before returning to his awkward repose. But Kaufman, at least in this instance, wasn't making any political point. Now, one of the first bad boys of comedy was Lenny Bruce, whose penchant for political transgression and social critique put him in the literal slammer more than once. This is incidentally way worse than going to Twitter jail for your bad joke about Elon Musk's bedside table.
Sex in its lowest form to have children.
Following Bruce's lead was George Carlin, who transitioned from a suit-adorned chuckle cap.
Yeah, Lenny Bruce got in trouble for, like, a lot of, like, racist jokes, but, like, the actual jokes about them weren't about race. They were mostly lampooning the message of Lenny Bruce's racial comedy, which again is what he got in trouble for, was actively targeting the people and revealing their inner racism. Because understand, he was Lenny Bruce was doing comedy in kind of the more affluent areas in, I believe, like the Northeast, and an aspect of his comedy was revealing kind of, when you're in kind of polite society, people look at race jokes, people look at all those sorts of things as kind of uncouth and jokes for the lower class of society, right? And what Lenny Bruce did was shock those people by pointing out their racism and their racism and prejudice, but also through it, seeing it through their revealing it through their hypocrisy of them pretending that they're any better than normal racists. But Lenny Bruce was interesting. I've seen a few of his stand-ups and I've seen some breakdowns of it. Interesting guy, interesting comic. George Carlin's great.
To a dope-smoking, long-haired hippie. He also went to jail
Fuck
for
yeah.
jokes, once again making modern cancellation look like a breeze.
So I find it kind of funny to be hassled for using them when my intention is to free us from hassling people for using them.
Let's check out how Carlin uses his favorite subject, words, to do political
Also,
comedy.
Carlin, not a conservative.
People have invented a language to conceal their sins. The CIA. The CIA doesn't kill people anymore, they neutralize someone. Or they depopulate the area. The government doesn't lie, it engages in disinformation. The Pentagon actually refers to and measures nuclear radiation in something they call sunshine units. Israeli murderers are called commandos, Arab commandos are called terrorists. Conservatives refer to the Contra killers as freedom fighters. Well, if crime fighters fight crime and firefighters fight fire, what do freedom fighters fight?
Yeah, this clip's great because what you see Carlin doing is using something really straightforward, language, and kind of luring the audience in and using it for a really political purpose. So kind of
yeah, and also to critique structures. And like reveal the actual true, like you're critiquing them through the absurdity of the way they operate.
Posing something excessive contained in the space of language and doing something political. Like you can hear some uncomfortable laughter there. Okay, so were Bruce and Carlin funny? Yeah, of course they were. Now, many have turned them into examples of the comedian philosopher, unafraid to tell the truth even when it ruffles society's feathers, like cocktail lounge frequenting versions of Socrates. And Carlin is especially revered by both the right and left as a model of a comedic truth teller with no regard for PC culture. According to Critchley, these examples represent true humor.
Also, Carlin wouldn't be interested in PC culture, but Carlin also wouldn't be interested in the right's reverement of hierarchical structures. Like, Carlin, at the end of the day, spent his career railing against the undeserving hierarchy in this country. He would not end up he would not end up agreeing with the likes of Tucker Carlson and these other idiots. Like, please spare me.
As the jokes change the situation, tell us something about who we are and the sort of place we live in, and perhaps indicate to us how it might be changed. And following this, it seems pretty clear that right-wing comedy is absolutely possible in so much as there are several liberal structures deserving of critique, as clearly seen in the HBO series Veep. So what's the difference between Carlin?
Yeah, Veep. Yeah, Veep is not right-wing comedy. Veep is not critiquing liberal, oh my god. The show Veep is not critiquing liberalism. It's critiquing liberal, what's the word? Bureaucracy and the failed institutions that we have. It has nothing to do with liberalism. It's everything to do with the structures and the failings and shortcomings of neoliberalism.
Ripping on American culture in the 70s, and contemporary comedians taking liberal culture to task. Now, for McGowan, a crucial distinction is that all real comedy has to have an egalitarian spirit that must reveal that the social authority itself is not simply a discursive entity, but necessarily lacking, which means that comedy should be pointing to the emptiness of dominant social authorities, things like governments and religions.
Strange women lying in ponds, distributing salt is no basis for a system of government.
I just want to say for the record, this is my absolute 100% favorite joke in The Holy Grail. It's my favorite. It fucking kills me every time.
According to McGowan, the problem with most comedy is that it hides a secret investment in the wholeness of the authority that it mocks, or in the position excluded from the authority, which means that most comedians remain too enmeshed in dominant social structures to really criticize them. It'd be like Socrates, but if he was too invested in Athenian social structures to push his students to see its flaws. And along with their willingness to be arrested for their comedy, Bruce and Carlin both seemed to embody something of this egalitarian spirit, and that neither showed much investment in any type of social authority. Now, this is the sort of position that could allow them to be critical of both poles of American political culture. And it might seem like this makes it easy to write off right-wing comedy, which often has an explicit investment in authorities, like the U.S.
It doesn't often, it is. Conservatism by its nature is authoritarian and is hierarchical. There is no version of conservatism which does not have those two traits. It just doesn't exist.
Government, the free market economy, and Christianity. But this is precisely what Matt Sinkowitz and Nick Marks warn against in their book, That's Not Funny, How the Right Makes Comedy Work for Them. It's a pretty cover, and I want to note, in case you're in the comments, they won't stop talking about Marx. Nick Marks, not Karl Marx, different guy, okay? They argue that dismissing right-wing comedy with any species of "that's not funny" means overlooking the growing influence of conservative comedians, and it encourages a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of contemporary politics and entertainment. So
that's not, yeah, but that doesn't, like, the critique of "it's not funny," you can't just simply argue well, there are people who like watching. It's yeah, because their values are being reinforced. That's the thing they're supporting. Conservatives don't laugh at right-wing comedy because it's revealing a truth. Conservatives laugh at right-wing comedy because it is lampooning and actively attacking the people that they don't like. That's kind of how that works.
Understand contemporary right-wing comedy. Let's check out Fox News' answer to Jimmy Fallon, Greg Gutfeld, who hosts the show Gutfeld. Unless you think this is some off-brand right-wing talk show, know that by late 2021, Gutfeld was drawing in an average viewership of 2.12 million viewers. Substantial.
Right, which has no bearing on whether it's funny or not. People watch it, but people watch Fox News and it's bad news. It's not news, and yet they get their news from it. Like, doesn't mean anything.
Really beating out Stephen Colbert.
Think about it. The only reason vegetarians eat plants is because plants can't run away, and vegetarians are too lazy to eat stuff with legs.
And what's the joke? Like, what is the joke there? What's the truth you're revealing? You're not revealing anything. You just think vegetarians are lazy. Vegetarians are not providers, and that's kind of it. Like, what's the joke? Because vegetables don't have legs, because we hunt creatures, we eat animals, because we think that it's fair that they can run away from. Like, what's the joke? What's the fucking joke? There is none. It's just, I don't like vegetarians. That's the joke. I don't like vegetarians. But there's no punchline. There's no truth being revealed. It's just it's nothing. Nothing. There's no joke. There's no truth. Nothing being revealed. Nothing being revealed to be a hypocrisy. It's nothing. It's nothing.
But this year, the average turkey will cost you 17% more compared to last year. I should have bought this year's turkey last year. Or next year when I fix my time machine.
At my most charitable. Okay, so maybe the lack of turkey available is pointing out the excess of inflation and other economic issues facing the country, thus forcing the viewer to reflect on all the proverbial turkey they too aren't consuming. Or maybe.
Or it could be. No, I'm not.
Just maybe the joke is that eating plants is dumb and like un-American.
But would the pilgrims find it absurd to eat a plant-based bird?
It seems like it probably falls into what Critchley describes as the comedy of recognition, which seeks to reinforce consensus
Jesus.
and in no way seeks to criticize the established order or change the situation in which we find ourselves. This kind of comedy,
which is not funny. Sorry, it's just not. It's just reinforcement of authoritarianism through the aesthetics of satire.
Basically boils down to that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme with Leo pointing at the TV. Maybe you're thinking that analyzing a Fox News comedian isn't the best way to gauge the zeitgeist. So
nope, it definitely is.
A world-famous comedian who sells out arenas, has multiple Netflix specials.
100% is. Let's be clear. Ricky Gervais, for whatever nonsense he's gone down, like, Greg Gutfeld is reaching 2 million people a night. That's the vanguard of comedy on the right.
Gervais.
What about this person that isn't a lady? Well, his penis. Her penis, you bigot.
Oh boy. Okay, so here, the joke is...
Wait, so... We're not getting into the trans stuff.
Is on both trans people and those who actively affirm them. And it seems to be at least implicitly affirming existing social and religious authorities. If Carlin used comedy to level critique at things like the American military-industrial complex...
Can't educate our young people, can't get healthcare our old people, but we can bomb the out of your country, all right?
Gervais seems to be using comedy to affirm traditional heteronormative culture.
I know the new women, they're great, aren't they? You know the new ones we've been seeing lately, the ones with beards and cocks. They're as good as gold. I love them.
One punches at power. One at the marginalized. Unless you think that we're letting liberal comedians off the hook, it's worth noting that they often fall into the exact same trap of
oh my God, spare me. Who cares? Like, I always love this where, like, whenever you see videos like this, or just in general, whenever you're critiquing the right, you always end up having to critique the left or liberal or whatever the fuck in some form or fashion, because if you don't do that, then right-wingers will come and cry, bitch, and moan. Like, fucking spare me.
Using comedy to affirm and perpetuate their own existing social values.
From now on, I identify as homosexual.
In fact, we did an entire video on this topic. Link to it in the description. Check it out. But don't be like, why didn't you do this about liberal comedy shows? We did a whole video on it, okay? So if contemporary comedy on both ends of the political spectrum seems to fall short of these philosophical understandings of humor, are there comedians engaging in social and political commentary in a way that's actually funny? Okay, here's an example from British comedian James Acaster, in which he's seemingly riffing on Gervais and Dave Chappelle's culture war comedy.
That's my job. I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm meant to challenge people. If you don't like being challenged, don't watch my shows. What's the matter, guys? Too challenging for you? Oh, yeah, because you know it's been long overdue a challenge. The trans community.
Okay, Agaster hits both sides of McGowan's philosophy of comedy. He points out the lack hidden in the excess of contemporary edgy comedy, i.e. there's nothing challenging about these comedians, and then shows the excessive nature of comedians, people like Gervais and Chappelle, making trans jokes. Agaster is showing how those jokes are a form of reactionary humor, which according to Critchley is not laughing at power, but the powerful laughing at the powerless. There's also lots of right-wing comedy these days aimed at snowflake culture. The idea that millennials and Gen Zers in particular are all real fragile and narcissistic.
These guys grew up in a world that's...
Yeah, it's just old man comedy. That's actually really, it's just old man standing on a stage and asking other old men to agree with them. That's kind of all this is. Like, you know, doing the whole snowflake thing. I'm like, dude, you made an entire fucking career of complaining about young people. Like, think about that for a second. Instead of having a real job, instead of having a real talent, your actual talent, the actual product that you put out on the world is bitching about young people. Everybody bitches about young people. Every old fuck bitches about it. I bitch about young people. I'm 30 and I bitch about the 20-year-olds and the 18-year-olds and whatnot because I don't understand them. It's not brave. It's not interesting. It's just fucking low bar. And it's really just sad, quite frankly.
Childproof and padded, all the dumb ones left.
So is there a way to joke about this phenomenon that isn't kind of judgmental or mean? Well, let's see comedian Patty Harrison give it a go.
I feel like, you know, I just want to be a more honest person, especially in like today's climate. I feel like I don't think people have the bandwidth for fakeness anymore.
Here, in talking about something that's pretty absurd, her relationship with a GOAT co-star.
Well, Randy didn't have a lot of credits.
She's pointing out the ridiculous excess of certain strands of online culture in which banal human emotions and behaviors are described in clinical terms. Here, that's, you know, talking about her emotional bandwidth and her high-level narcissism.
I didn't even take the time to learn the actor's name, which is like, you know, high-spectrum narcissism kind of crap.
It's sort of like the TikTok trend where everyone is actually autistic or has ADHD or anxiety or other things that start with A. Doing this is similar to scholar Mary Douglas's claim that a joke is a play upon form that affords an opportunity for realizing that an accepted pattern has no necessity. Harrison's slightly absurdist comedic style is pointing out that an accepted pattern, young people on the internet using clinical terminology to describe normal behaviors, is unnecessary and or excessive. But let's get back to our original question. Can political comedy, and especially right-wing political comedy...
Oh, Samantha Bee. I've seen a bit of her. She's pretty unfunny, quite frankly.
Be funny? Well, according to Sienkiewicz and Marx, that might not even be the right question. They write, the waving dismissal of right-wing comedy is essentially an act of attempted sorcery, whereby carefully chosen words are supposed to make real-life problems dissolve in a puff of smoke. In reality, however, this liberal psychological complex only serves to confuse things and obfuscates the diverse ways in which laughter shapes our politics. For these authors, there is a risk in simply defining away.
I wouldn't really agree. I would just simply say, is it funny? Not really. Just by the... Actually, no. It's really not a question of is right-wing comedy funny. It's really that, is right-wing comedy satire? Is there anything satirical about right-wing comedy? Or is it just the powerful punching down? Is it just the reinforcement of authority? Is it just theater for the rich and the powerful? And is that valuable? I don't really think it is. If you ask me, right-wing comedy, no value whatsoever. It's fucking... No, I don't want to use rice. I love rice. Rice is delicious. It's fucking... It's like a food that has like... That means like nothing. That's like just it's nothing. It's you might as well... I like tofu. We'll go with tofu. It's just... tofu. It's nothing. You get nothing out of this. You're just sustaining the body at the barest minimum of like nutritional value. That's all right-wing comedy is. No value whatsoever. No artistic value, especially.
Right-wing comedy, because like it or not, it exists. Now, this might seem to be in opposition to folks like Critchley and McGowan, who seem to argue that conservative comedy is reactionary, untruth, or inegalitarian. But Sienkiewicz and Marx and these philosophers seem to be saying something similar, and it boils down to how we understand the word conservative. When these philosophers say that conservative comedy is untruth or unfunny or reactionary, they aren't saying that people with right-wing political affiliations are categorically incapable of being humorous. They are, however, saying that when comedians and late-night hosts use their platforms to either simply prop up systems and figures already in positions of power, what Thomas Hobbes described as sudden glory laughter, or to call for a return to some type of regressive past, what Sienkiewicz and Marx call paleo-comedy, they are missing out on what comedy can and should do. And again, the same goes for contemporary liberal political comedy, where it's become increasingly common to get laughs off jokes about how climate change is real and vaccines are good and Biden is daddy.
If you answer this first question right, I will hand you $500 in cash. Listen carefully. Will any of you just take the COVID vaccine right now? Anybody?
Hell, even historically apolitical comedian John...
Wait. Okay, so I'm going out on a limb here, but I feel like those people are supposed to be like stand-ins for celebrities that are anti-vax, and I don't know where the joke goes, but like that would be kind of like funny to see people play up the reactions and the ridiculous ways of how people like skate around just simply taking a vaccine that's no different than any other vaccine they've ever taken in their lives. Like,
Mulvaney ruffled liberal feathers when he gave an SNL monologue that acknowledged that no matter who won the 2020 election, nothing would really change.
Or we might have a new elderly man. But just rest assured, no matter what happens, nothing much will change in the United States. The rich will continue to prosper while the poor languish.
Seriously, that clip feels so...
Also, yeah, because liberals are dumb and stupid. Like, yeah, go ahead, ruffle liberal feathers. They're dumb and actively... what's the word? Allow the space for fascist movements to grow. I don't know what to tell you. Also, John Mulaney, 200% right. Nothing did fundamentally change. Did anything change in the US? Did things get better? Or did things just go back to pre-Trump era kind of politics, but not really? Have we just kicked the can down the street a little bit longer, but people told themselves wrongfully that voting against Trump and voting in Biden would be some wild change in the country? No, it was all bullshit. Nothing was going to fundamentally change. The only thing that was going to happen is things weren't going to get wildly worse. That's the only thing. That's it. That's the whole of it. It just wasn't going to get horribly worse. That's really all.
Awkward, everyone's laughing, and then he brings up this kind of harsh truth, and everyone's like, because much like many right-wing comedians, lots of liberals don't want authorities and social structure to be criticized for some type of fundamental lack. In the case of the Mulaney joke, that voting might be some kind of a sham. This all makes the question less about whether right-wing or left-wing comedy can be funny, and more about the difference between comedy aiming to conserve existing authority and power structures, and comedy willing to question them. And while this doesn't mean that right-wing comedy doesn't exist, it does mean that often this type of comedy just, well, isn't very funny.
So why is Twitter causing such emotional strife in the government and in the media? Well, they were the junkies, and their drug dealer just got killed.
But what do you all think? Is right-wing comedy...
Oh, God, I'm worried that people thought that was funny.
...capable of being truly transgressive? Or
God, I hope not.
Just telling jokes for people who already agree with them? Let us know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you so much to our patrons for all your support.
Anyway, good for those people. I like Wisecrack. Yeah, like... If we're talking about what kind of comedy has value in the traditional way that we kind of conceptualize comedy, I think it's kind of pretty self-evident that like right-wing comedy by its nature has no meaningful value. The only real value put forward by right-wing comedy is just the reinforcement of hierarchical authoritarian structures and just kind of beating up on people, which is usually also a big problem with that is the whole beating up on people part of that. Like, you can say like, oh, but liberal comics are always making fun and going after conservatives. That is correct. That is correct. Liberal comics and liberal comedians in general do go after conservatives a lot. Now, the difference between that and what conservatives do is mainly that conservatives attack the broad identity of being liberal, of being non-conservative. That's their critique. Their critique is, you don't agree with me. That's about as far as it goes. You don't agree with me, I think you're stupid, or I think your opinion is absurd. That's it. That's the whole and short of their critique. The left-wing critique usually comes from a place of how absurd right-wingers specifically bend themselves to come to the conclusion that like they don't have to participate in society, that they're the correct ones in any argument, even though for the most part, people on the right aren't very good at substantiating their arguments. But the excess in that, like when they talked about like excess and all the rest of that stuff, the funny part of that is how far conservatives go. It's why watching conservatives just give answers is funny, because they go so hard into these like absurd, utterly absurd, like the conspiracy theories and these just absurd like leaps of logic, and it's just funny to watch somebody's brain just do every gymnastic maneuver they can to get to the position of, I just don't like gay people. I just don't like queer people. I just think black people are a bit dangerous. I'm scared of them. Or whatever their weird opinion is. That's funny. The only thing conservatives ever say is things like fucking the Gutfeld's like vegetarian joke, which is, was that funny? No, because there wasn't anything insane about somebody being a vegetarian. Like nobody bends. Some you can make fun of people who are vegetarians. Like there are people who are vegans who like, and veganism is like insane. There's like all this stuff, and you could make fun of that because I'm sure there's some, you know, shades of hypocrisy in there, but that's not the thing they focus on, and it's not, certainly isn't the thing that like they're seizing on. It's not the comedy that they're thinking of. They're just attacking another group because they hold different beliefs. It's really as far as it goes for them, sadly. But I don't know, man. I don't know. At the end of the day, I think it's safe to say right-wingers aren't funny. I think that's a pretty safe one. A safe one in my opinion. But okay. So, I think we actually made it through everything about on time, or at the very least on time enough to the point that what's it called? I actually got there like a little bit ahead of time. I'm actually not mad at that. Let me message Skeptic Woke really quick. I'm trying to decide. So I'm trying to decide what we should do for kind of the slower news days, and maybe any of the days that I mercifully get done with everything early. So I'm thinking like I'm pretty like I can run. So I don't know how much, you know, people know this. I like my horror games. So I'm thinking, I'm like, should we, you know, trying to think like, should we do like a you know, if we do game streams at all, because that's like the other, that's when I'm not doing this and I'm not working, then usually I'm playing video games of some kind. You know, if we do game streams, like I feel like horror games would be like, you know, that's still probably my go-to. But I'm thinking in the future, after I make sure that my laptop can run everything and process everything, I'm thinking we'll do like, I haven't fully decided, but I'm thinking maybe we do a bit of, we might jump into a Charles in the future. I haven't fully decided. I haven't played it yet, so like I do want to play it, but I'm thinking for like maybe a game stream one of these days. It's either that or yeah, maybe like I don't know. We'll kind of have to find out. I'll kind of like see how people feel, because what's it called? Because sometimes, you know, sometimes there's slow news days. Sometimes there's not as much going on. You know, sometimes it's just like I said, there's just not as much going on. Okay, but either way, let's see. Maybe can we? We could probably play something that's like mid. I'm pretty sure I could play something that's like not super intensive. Let me see. Let me minimize this. Let's see. What could we play that's not going to be. Really, this isn't an internet shortcut. Oh, no, that makes sense that it's not. That makes sense that it's not. Isn't this Yu-Gi-Oh? It is Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's see. Oh, look. Ooh, I haven't played the closing shift yet. Ooh, I do want to play that at some point. Could play Phasmo a little bit. Yeah. Why don't we? Let's do that. Let's test to see. Fuck it. We'll just run a game test right now. Fuck it. We'll see if Skeptical shows up. And for now, oh, you're not supposed to be over there. What's up, your Asian heathen? How are you doing this fine evening? This isn't supposed to be on the screen. Well, that's silly. Come on. Load the game. Load the game. Load the game.
Welcome back.
There we go. Oh, no.
Job's ready for you.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, oh no. I think it's down here. Yes. Windowed, please. That. All right. There we go. Fix that. There we go. Okay, I fixed it. Let's see. We can do full screen. That. Okay. Now we're good. Now we're back in business. All right. Getting ready to go back into civilization. Have you not been in civilization, Eurasian heathen? You've been quarantining? Let's see. No, just do single player. Ooh, that sounds nice. What led you to do that? Was that like a I'm assuming that's like a camping thing or just like a Oh, that's weird. Anyway. Let's see. Yeah, let's go with give me my usual stuff. Let's see, 15%. Actually, let me check my stats really quick. Let me check my power levels on my actual computer. Make sure this poor thing isn't dying. Let's see. Oh, she seems fine. Seems like she's running. You guys let me know if there's any I'm not seeing. Nope, not seeing any. Okay, cool. I think we'll be fine. Keep this open so I can see. Let's see. No, I live out in nature in a tent all year round. That is super cool. What's like the let's do let's do Edgefield. What's the like I guess my biggest question is like what's the thing that I guess you miss most from civilization? Like what's the thing you're like living out in the woods is cool and all, but this is like the one thing you're like, damn, I'm not I wish I could bring this with me. That's lovely. Oh, there it is. Okay. What do we got? Detect a paranormal sound with microphone, which I don't think I ever bring. Where's my... Oh, what the fuck? Oh, that's annoying. I have to bring fucking stands. Don't get to see my kids. Aw. I'm sorry about that. That's unfortunate. Prevent the ghost from haunting. Crucifix. Also don't have that. Repel the ghost with us. Also don't have that. Okay, I am just thoroughly unprepared for any of the challenges. Oh, there we go. Okay, everything seems to be running fine. Oh boy. Nope. Actually, one second. I'm gonna turn this down. Let's see. We're gonna like, let's like drop this down to 720 just to kind of give it a little bit of break on resolution. Okay, that should be good for the most part. I didn't even look to see where the fuck the thing is. Oh, here, let me turn this up for chat, or for yeah, here we go. So you guys can also live in the terrifying fucking ambient sound. Oh, Jesus. What do we got? What do we got? Oh, this is new, I think. No, it's not. Not really. Okay. Just kidding. It's not new. I'm sorry. Propaganda. Leftist disinfo. There's a cookie. Oh, yeah, that's right. I think. Excuse me? Okay. Gaming is for incels. No, it's not. Just the disproportionate amount of incels are gamers. I'm a gamer, I'm not an incel. I live with my girlfriend. I can't be an incel. Also, I would never be an incel. That's just cringe. I feel like incel is like the it's like not to beat up on people who I'm sure aren't like doing great in life, you know? Like I don't mean to be mean to people who probably are already not doing amazing even by their own assessments. The fuck is that? But like being an incel is just like pretty much you pretty much reserved yourself into loser identity from that point on. Like I've read a few. Excuse me. No, I don't like that at all. Oh, I should really have this on. Shush, shush. No, shush. Like, oh dear. Okay. It seems like it's upstairs. Oh. Oh. Whoa. Okay. I feel like they're not gonna be in here. Seems like they like this room. Okay. Do we have any fingerprints? Whoa! Holy sh! Oh, that's in the next room. Oh, definitely have fingerprints. 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 Okay. Oh. Oh. Hello. Alright, well, we don't need this anymore. Also, I'm running my ass out of here. A lot of lag in the stream. Let's see. That might be on the games end. Let me see really quick. VSync. Let me turn VSync off. Video. Anti-alien. Let's go. Let's turn a bit of this on the lower end. Apply. Boom. Okay. Let me know if that helped at all. I think I dropped all the settings down just a little bit, so I'm hoping that that kind of helps. Like I said, I really don't usually play video games when I stream, mainly because like running all of this stuff plus like streaming out and recording can kind of be a bit of a hassle, but you know, well, I'll figure out the technical side, I think, kind of in the future a little bit more. All right. Well, I don't. Nope, not that. F. All right, do that. Now, who the fuck am I talking to? That's the real question. Linda Todd. Linda, can you write in this book for me really quickly? I'd really appreciate that. or if you'd like to speak through this accursed machine that I fucking hate. Oh, okay. It's good enough for me. Oh, whoop, no, stop. Shut up. Okay. That's enough for me to walk the fuck out. Okay, cool. Ay. Let's see. What was that? That was Spirit Box. Okay. There's only really one more I think we need to worry about. Let's grab this. Whoa, that was on my end. That little bit of lag was on my end. Let's see. According to mine, okay, everything looks to be running fine on my end. Like I said, you didn't write in the book. What the fuck? Why aren't you writing in the book? Actually, here, we'll do this. Oh, that's so awkward. We'll do that. We'll do that. And then we'll go stare at the TV so we don't have to stand in there. What time is it? Okay. Alright, let's see. Let's see if we got anything. Whoa. Oh, ghost orbs. Okay, cool. Sweet. It's... Huh? We got fingerprints. We got spirit box. Excuse me? Could it be a... Yeah, we got finger... I have never seen that before. That's fucking weird. That's really weird. Alright, spirit box, ghost orbs. What? Is there like one more that would change it? Or does that mean it's the mimic? That might mean it's the mimic. Give me the mimic really quickly. Unsure, ghost capable of several reports noted ghost orb sightings near mimics. Oh, that's why. Okay. So it probably, if it is a mimic, yeah. What would it be? It would be, what do I need to get? Freezing temps. Fuck. I didn't see freezing temps. Mimic. Oh. I did not see. Do we think it's a good idea to go back and test it? No. I'm okay with just thinking it's the mimic. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I'm pretty sure it's the mimic. We're just gonna go with the mimic on this one. I'm pretty confident it was the mimic. I'm like fairly confident in that.
Welcome back. I've got some jobs ready for you.
Squad W. Got it. Fucking got him. All right. You know what we don't have enough of? You know what we honestly don't have enough of? We don't have enough political discussions around like UFOs and ghosts. I feel like we end up having political discussions over like all the other like, you know, serious stuff in the world. Meanwhile, I'm over here just like, man, I wish we talked more about ghosts and shit. Fucking love paranormal, like all that paranormal shit. It's my jam. Okay, I brought the lighter. What about my tripods? Okay, I got the tripods, I got the lighter. Okay, cool. We'll do this one, and then I'm thinking we'll just do this one, hang out for the rest of the time, and then that'll be the end of stream. I think that works out for me. I'll have to go back and see how this ended up performing. I saw Heathen saying that like the stream was getting laggy, which I'm not super surprised. I don't have a big ass computer rig, sadly. Average 25%, smudge sticks, blow out a candle. Ooh, did I bring candles? I didn't. Well, shit. But yeah, sadly, not at the point where I have a big old gamer streamer PC rig, sadly. But hey, if this is your first time watching, welcome. You might be thinking to yourself, this is a political stream. What are we playing Phasmophobia for? Well, it's mainly because we finished up basically what I had scheduled in terms of stories. So with a little bit of free time, I was just playing a bit of a game that I enjoy playing. And if you have any questions, if you have any points that you'd like to make, if there's any you know, any political rhetoric you'd like to speak on, by all means. But also you should follow the stream. I think you should do that no matter what. The rest of the stuff is kind of optional. Whoa. Excuse you? Okay. Everything is optional here on the stream, except for following it. You must follow the stream. That is non-negotiable. You must do it. Oh, I don't actually know what these cookies do. I know that it's something. Oh, that's the fridge. I know it's something to do with like Christmas. Like there's like a Christmas thing going on, but I have no earthly idea what you're like what it does. Like I know you collect them and then you. Oh, hello. Oh, did you open this door? Oh, I think you did. Ooh, there's the cursed thing. I think that's the mirror. I don't love doing the mirror. The mirror is, I feel like, a bit dangerous. Let's see. Maybe in here? Ghosty. Nope, doesn't seem to be in here. Let's see. Not a whole lot going on in there. There we go. Holy balls! Jesus. Well, that was... Okay, that's a 5. Holy shit. Well, that was rude. Fucking Christ. Okay, well. Oh boy, I don't want to go back in here. Know what the fuck that was. Why does it feel like it's darker than it was before? I did not like that. I did not like that at all. That felt way more aggressive than the ghosts usually are. That felt personal. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. I guess we'll take... Well, I don't... Okay, we're not gonna take this yet. I'm not gonna take that yet. Gotta figure out where this damn ghost is first. I did not like that whatsoever. This is just so aggressive. Okay, let's... Can't see the fucking thing. Okay, whatever. Okay, it seems like it's back in that area. That kind of... Okay. Well, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's making me nervous. After that last attack on my senses. Okay. Okay, we're gonna put this in here. I think that's a what? Oh, doesn't want to go. Okay, there we go. That's gonna be there in a really awkward area. Skeptical if you are totally. Oh no! Oh no! Oh Jesus! Okay, I'm alive somehow. Oh, I hated that. Oh, I hated that. Oh, I hated every bit of that. Was that freezing temps? Shut up! Stop! It is freezing temperatures. Okay, freezing temps. Freezing temps. Okay. Fuck this. Fuck this. Okay. Whew. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Don't worry, Skeptic. You'll be back. You'll be back on the show. I have faith. Oh my god, that gave me a fucking heart attack. Okay. Nope. Night vision, please. Oh, ghost orbs. Cool. I don't have to go back in. Fudge. Is it seriously a mimic again? Okay, so I didn't get fingerprints. I'm waiting for a cab, so if you're still around, I'm gonna run the apartment and jump right in. I only really have like 3 minutes. You don't gotta worry about it. Thursday though, if you want to come on Thursday, absolutely Thursday. I don't know if you're working Thursday, but Thursday will be the next day. Fuck, I do not want to fucking go back in there. Yeah, I had to move the stream back because I was going to 11 for a while, but just because girlfriend sleep stuff. Mondays and Fridays. Okay. Okay, let's try to get something Monday. It won't be this Monday because I'll be out of town, but next week's Monday we can do the usually Mondays are kind of on the slower end, so we'll do something Monday. I know I did take your advice. Fuck, I do not want to go back in there. Okay. Spirit box, or no, okay. I don't think I need that at all. We'll take this. I can just put this down. Fuck, I do not like it in there. Alright, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this, and then I'm gonna run my fucking ass off. Okay. Whew. Whew. Jesus. Don't like it. I don't like it. Okay. Let's see. Alright. Okay, I see ghost orbs. Okay. Like, if it's dots, then it's a Ure. Please show up for dots. I do not feel like standing in there talking. The only time I don't like talking is talking to ghosts. It's not gonna do it. I'm gonna have to go in there and fucking talk to it. Yep. What? Oh. Oh, geez. Okay, so it can either be... Okay, so it's either a Revenant... Okay, so it's not this. Didn't we get EMF? Or I guess we didn't. I guess we didn't get an EMF then. That was just freaking out. Okay. So it's either... Fuck. Like I said, I don't like it. I don't like it. Ugh. I swear I'm gonna go in here and it's gonna just kill me. Oh wait, did I bring the book? I did not bring the book. Bring the book. Okay, I'm thinking we'll place the book like right next to the camera so that we don't have to actually stick around. Okay, we'll put it like there. Okay. I'm telling the cab driver to floor it. Alright, who's this? What's this person's name? Skeptic Wolf, don't go crazy. Like, the second I die, Holly Winter. Holly Winter, write in this goddamn book. Write in the goddamn book, leave me alone. Write in the book, leave me alone. Write in the book, leave me alone. Don't come after me. I'll go over the speed limit so I can make it back on time. Brother, you've got Technically, I'm already over. Technically, you're already at negative time. You would have to get him to go back in time, pick you up, and drop you off in the past, like by 5 minutes. Oh dear God. But if I'm still hunting this ghost, then I guess then I guess you'll get on. Oh dear. Oh, okay. Okay, so if it's not the book, right? Then it like if it's not I can't tell if he wrote in it. Or she, I guess. Well, we don't know if she we don't know if she identifies. I mean, I don't know. What's their name? Holly? Holly can be a guy's name, technically. Real question, which doctor are you calling? That's the true question. Oh, I don't want to go in there. Ooh, I don't want to go in there. Ooh, I don't want to go in there. I hate doing the spirit box. It's my least 10th. Is that Tenet? Is that yeah, is that Tenet? Am I right? I always forget who, or no, maybe that's, is that Tenet? David Tennant. Ah, a Tenet stan. I can respect it. My doctor will probably always be Matt Smith, but I can respect David Tennant. He's not my favorite. I did really like Eccleston. Fuck, he didn't write in a book. Okay, can you speak on the radio so I can leave now? Stupid ghost. Stupid dumb fuck ghost. Stupid dumb fuck ghost. I bet you're on server. Oh, is that right? Run. Okay. Jesus. Okay. Matt Smith is good too, but kind of more goofy doctor. Okay, we got spirit box. It's an on-rail. Okay, cool. Thank fucking God. All right. I feel like Tenet was more goofy than Matt Smith. At least that was my personal perception. I didn't watch all of Tenet's run. I only watched bits of it. Oh my God. I better have been right. That better have been an unreal. What do we got?
Welcome back. I've prepared some jobs for you.
Fucking nailed it. Okay. Whew. God, that gave me so much anxiety after that first scare. Okay. Whew. Oh my God. Okay. So, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. I'm at the 3-hour mark. That is my 10 o'clock. Eccleston is underrated. That is my hard sign off. Let me turn this so we don't have the lovely sounds of ambient noise. If it wants to, what just happened? No, stop. What just happened? Okay, there we go. Anyway, so few little programming notes. Thursday will be the next stream. Thursday is going to actually be kind of a little bit of a fun one. We're going to go over, we're going to kind of relive, I promise I will. We're going to do some, I want to take a trip down nostalgia lane and look at some previous battlefields on the war on Christmas. That's what I'm thinking we're gonna get into. Gonna watch some fun old videos of people freaking out over not getting their Starbucks cups, all sorts of stuff. But also, I saw a few videos. Although the war front doesn't seem to be as quite as alive this year, there were a few entries that I think are that we'll kind of look at some contemporary war on Christmas rhetoric and a few other little things. Nothing too crazy, but mostly we're going to do kind of a flashback stream and then maybe do something fun. I'm thinking might do like we're going to do a right-wing tier list. So we're going to I saw like a tier list somewhere, so gonna kind of find one that gives us everybody, and we're going to kind of just go through, have some fun, play some people, kind of go through who's whatever level. We'll figure it out. It'll be fun. But yeah, Thursday's going to be a fun show. Going to try to keep it relatively relatively light, relatively fun and jokey, and just kind of have a good time. So if this is your first time here, or if you're just popping in because you saw somebody playing Phasmophobia while in the politics category on Twitch, hello there. Usually we cover normal politics, but we had a little bit extra time, so I did some video gaming because that's what I do in my free time. But if you aren't already, you should follow the stream. It's a totally fun time. We play video games. We also make fun of conservatives most of the time and kind of just read articles and learn stuff. Also, if you'd ever like to come on, I always take call-ins as much as I can. Obviously, can't have everybody. But, you know, there's a header above my head. Go ahead and email up there if you'd ever like to chit chat about a topic of your choice. I've had some conservatives on, one guy who is a libertarian, Skeptical, who you might see over to this side, because I have to remember which side it is, chat is on. Over here, you might see Skeptical talking a bunch. We had him on, I think that was a week and a half ago. Fun time, leftist, I believe an anarcho-communist, which I'm not, but like good for him for buying into a much more brave political alignment than I have. I'm still a bit of a pussy who doesn't fit quite into any nice succinct category, but we're getting there. But either way, all the rest of the stuff out of the way. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate any interest that you've shown in this stream. I have a normal job and I prefer doing this with my work time, and I enjoy interacting with people. The number one thing I like doing here is talking with people. So by all means, like I said, if you want to come on, have a chat, I'm open to basically everybody, unless you're going to be cringy and come on and yell expletives. But either way, that's been the show. You've been a great audience. I've been a very good ghost hunter for once. You know, I'm kind of shocked. Usually I don't get those super right. I'm not that good at Phasmophobia, but apparently I'm not too bad, especially on stream. But either way, you all have a nice night. I'll see you all Thursday for the Christmas stream, and yeah, see you all then.